Willkommen to episode 14 of the Red Leaf Retrocast's Worldwide Weeb Edition. Today is very special. It is December 2017, and this was a podcast episode that requires quite the attention because we are discussing all things Satoshi Kon, his movies, his works, and finally ending up with Elderly Person Z. Why that in particular we decided to go over? Well, it's because it's his earliest work known, and it's very strange on top of it. So, I am joined here today with Tori, Hickey, and Joe.
Yo.
Hola.
How's everyone doing? All at once.
Okay, no. I'm doing fine.
Okay, Tori, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Yeah, I've mostly been preparing for the podcast, so watched all the Satoshi Kon stuff I hadn't watched yet. Other than that, exams are coming up. Boring stuff.
Exams? What are those?
Yeah, I know, right? What's an exam?
I haven't taken one of those in over 10 years.
Me neither. Nah.
No, it hasn't been that. It hasn't been that long, but I honestly don't miss school at all.
Me neither.
Yeah, me neither.
Oh, you don't miss school and you're still in it.
Yep. Nope. I'd like to be done. I would really like to be done. Sadly, I'm not done yet.
Well, speaking of school and studying like crazy, Hickey is back.
Hi everyone! Look at my voice; it's just cracked. I am good.
Are you
I'm
though?
in
With all of the
thesis
lawyer
stage,
studying.
I have a test tomorrow, and I'm here. You know.
Oh no.
Yeah, it is my final one. My biggest fear is not going bad at the test; it's just waking up in the morning, because I didn't wake up in time any day of the past week. Like I need to get up at 6 because I need to be there like 7 a.m. and I woke up like 10 a.m. every single day. So I am actually very scared of not being able to wake up in time to do the test.
Well, the reason why you're scared is you told us a story of how your university, your college, or what have you, they call it in Brazil, that they lock the doors old school style and don't let you in, correct?
Oh no, that is to enter. That is the entrance exams. That is fun. That is a fun happening every single year. Unfortunately, people are getting
Because I've already done it.
Unfortunately, people are getting more and more smart over the years, and they don't want to become memes in the internet and appear on television because it appears their names, and the reporter just go there and say, "Why are you late?" As everyone starts screaming at him. It is a bad situation. It is really, really bad. But this year there was not a lot of people late, which was very unfortunate. Because I wanted to see.
Unfortunate for your entertainment.
Yeah, of course. I really wanted to see people getting like shat on with people go to the front of schools and sit there with bitch stuff and a shitload of beer and just watch people getting laid. It is fun as fuck. But like I said, unfortunately, people are getting smart and don't really want to be memes in the internet, so they stop doing that.
Nobody face
aside from
plans.
that, I need to make the test tomorrow, or else I will have to repeat a class, and I really don't want to do that. I really
repeating a college course is never really all that great.
Yeah, it is very bad because you already know what's going on. You know that you are the one piece of shit that couldn't get one single answer right in the fucking test. So like, it is really bad. I really need to wake up early. Right now I'm on a peace state of mind post hungover. I drank a lot yesterday.
What was the drink of choice?
Plastered.
It was a Brazilian distilled alcohol beverage called cachaça.
Cachaça.
It was cachaça. It was bad.
That sounds like the perfect drink to just not know how to pronounce later. What did you have all night? Cachaça.
Yeah,
Why do you think Budweiser is the fucking most popular beer in America? Yeah, can I have another Heineken? After 12 Heinekens, you can't say fucking Heineken anymore.
We have Eisenbach. We have
Bud.
Eisenbach. So like for example, yeah, talking about the Heisenberg, there are new dubbed anime in Crunchyroll in Portuguese, and one of them is Schwarzenegger, and I keep calling the fucking guy Leonardon instead of his name, I keep calling him Eisenbach because of the beer. I just can't. But anyway, it's like cachaça is like 40%.
I couldn't watch much of Schwarzenegger because of like just random German nonsense.
But there's German dub.
Crazy.
There's
Moe.
German dub. There's German dub now.
Oh boy, I can't imagine of all 4 voice actors in Germany doing it.
Gonna do it. I need a VPN to watch it in German. Anyway, I'm all over the place because again, I am not in the best state of mind to record a podcast, but whatever. I remember.
It's okay. You're better off than what I was like a few months ago. That's for sure.
Yeah, because I know how to
Oh yeah, it's
drink.
real fucking hard.
I can't
All you
do
have to
it,
do
guys.
is not be able. All you have to do is show up.
Yeah.
and
Wait,
not,
no.
and not
Able to
just hug the
speak and
toilet
not
for the rest of the time.
projectile vomit. Yes.
Right, exactly. Not projectile.
Yeah, no, it was fun. It was fun. I drank
Everywhere.
a lot, and I got called on to be fucking filth piece of weeb shit. It was fun as well. But yeah,
Well, I do have a
came
follow-up
home and
question
remember.
for you, Hickey.
Yes.
But I will come back to it. I'm curious
Sure.
to what Joe's been doing though.
I'm a mailman in December. Fuck Black Friday. Fuck Christmas. Okay.
Yeah, not having a good time.
By the way, make sure you tip your mailman because he's the reason you didn't get stabbed on Black Friday. You're welcome.
Fact. So, yeah, I've had quite the interesting mail experience in Rhode Island. Continued. So, Joe, you'll appreciate this story. All of my anime packages, whether it be and video games or whatever I've ordered from Amazon, or it goes through USPS or UPS or whatever, seemingly everything always ends up back at the post office, right?
Okay.
But of the things that have gone through USPS, United States Postal Service, for those not in America, apparently the mail carrier has just assumed that all of my mail is on hold forever. He hasn't delivered anything other than junk mail.
Good.
I think he hates you.
Yeah.
It's possible. Or he's just a really shitty carrier.
That's also
Yeah,
possible.
apparently, I was talking to one of your coworkers that we're both duckpin bowling, and I go, is it weird that I haven't received any mail other than junk mail? And he goes, yeah, that's really bad.
Yeah.
But
That's
you
a problem.
didn't work on Cyber Monday or... No, yes. You didn't work Cyber Monday or the Wednesday after Cyber Monday, correct?
That was on purpose, yes.
And
was
why
very
is that
much on
exactly?
Well, it's simple because Amazon Prime guarantees 2-day shipping. Which means for Black Friday, you have one day, which would be Saturday, and the second day is Monday. I took that Monday off to get away from the Black Friday shipments. Cyber Monday through Amazon, also guaranteed 2-day shipping. That leaves out the Tuesday, which is one day.
Uh-huh.
Wednesday, which would be 2-day shipping. I took that Monday and that Wednesday off.
Smart man. You know how
Yes.
to work the system.
It's like I've been doing this for a while.
No.
Me? No. No, never.
No,
Never.
No. Have you been partaking in any drinking celebratory reasonings during the season?
Yeah, I get hammered every night so I can go to sleep because I want to fucking kill myself. My job is terrible this season.
Oh. Oh.
The positivity, it's flowing.
Oh,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
so
no,
positive.
When I go in at 7 a.m. and clock out at 8 p.m., yeah, I'm really not fucking feeling it.
Yeah, it sounds like my offshore shifts right out of college when I was doing that. 12 to 16 hour days. That was, no.
Yep.
There's a reason why in Europe you're not supposed to work more than 8 hours.
Unless you work offshore.
Unless you work offshore naturally,
Yep.
but
That's the
most
only
jobs
exception.
don't. Most jobs are not offshore jobs.
You're right. They're not. Thankfully. Thank God.
So I wanted to follow up with Hickey on the university questions, because this has been coming up. Just in whether it's different forums or whatnot. A lot of anime fans out there, if they go to college, they tend to study one of two things. some sort of business economics or computer science.
Okay. Yes.
But none of us are studying that.
Well,
Correct?
well, there's story.
You're about to
is.
go to college. Have you thought about...
I thought it's
Well,
not in college, but it's still.
no,
he
I'm
wants
not going to
do
go to college.
IT.
You're not going to college at all?
No, I'm trying to get into the workforce just right after I'm done with high school. So, there's no college for me.
Are you looking into becoming like a master carpenter, master electrician, something like that, along those
Like
lines?
I'm saying, I'm doing IT, so hopefully I'll be taken under the wings of somebody at an IT company somewhere, or just some big company where I can work IT and.
Okay, so you're going the computer science route.
Essentially, yeah.
Essentially.
Getting that A+ certification.
So you're going to have to go through all the coding and everything, but that seems to be synonymous with the anime fandom.
Who cares? Cisco's easy anyway. You won't have a problem.
Yeah.
It's all logic gates.
Well, see, personally, I found coding just insufferable when I had to do it at all in college, so that's kind of one reason why I didn't go that route at all, and I generally don't find computers all that fascinating.
build
But
computers
Hickey,
in my
you're
free time,
doing the lawyer thing. Joe, you
Yes.
did crazy electrical engineering type stuff.
Yep.
I'm not totally familiar with the exact naming conventions of what you studied and what you did.
Well, it's just aircraft maintenance for electronics, if you want to break it to the simplest terms.
Okay. So, Hickey, you're currently in school. What is or was the current? I'm sorry. Let me start over. What is or was your hardest course in college?
In college?
Yeah, or university. What do you call it in Brazil?
University.
University. Okay.
Yeah. I think it was anything criminal. I am very bad at criminal laws. Like, really, really bad. I don't find fascinating at all.
Not just, is it so that's more along the lines of you're just not interested in it rather than it's actually difficult, or what?
Yeah, like the most difficult part of studying law is that, for me, for example, I'm finishing the course, and I'm like, yes, I'm gonna be a lawyer, and I'm gonna do stuff, and then you go to you turn on the TV, and the news says, congressman changed the law or something, and then you need to start studying from scratch until you realize what changed it and what does it actually changes, and then you need to wait some stuff to be on the court to be judged, and then you need to see what the judges are talking, like what they are saying about that, and that takes 2-3 years. But then when you go like try to be a civil servant, they are already doing questions about the law that changed, and you don't know anything about the law because no one is talking about this law. No one actually uses the law. So you need to either study for yourself and then write a book for yourself, or just sit there and still use the old law. That is the hard one. That is the hardest part.
It sounds very familiar to how doctors have to constantly keep up with the times and retake tests, so you don't get like a 15-year-old doctor who's still using the same procedures that are now not in. They're not valid anymore per se. It sounds very similar to along like that. It's just more frequent in the changes.
And they are way wider than medicine.
So that's very interesting. Joe, was there any classes while you were studying that were just like a problem, or what?
I had a lot of baseline knowledge going into this course because I've done electrical work most of my life. Soldering was never a problem for me. Doing electrical circuit boxes, all that was all easy. And unlike Hickey, when it comes to electricity, we've essentially kind of figured it out. I was using textbooks from the 70s. Like, there's no point. There's no real upgrade in anything electricity-wise. It's just components get smaller and what they do is a little more vast. But once you understand how electricity works, it's not super challenging. The way I've always explained it or visualized it is electricity works like water, right? So it follows the path of least resistance all the time. It never goes uphill. So if there's a resistor in your way and there's an open wire, it's gonna travel down the open wire until you can overload the resistor.
Okay.
So it's like a dam overflowing. That's a resistor.
Did you find any of the subjects uninteresting, which made it just difficult to just do anything with or for?
I'm one of those lucky people in school that never had to study or pay attention and still did well. It's like I learned through osmosis.
Osmosis.
Yeah, so you just kind of sit there and do whatever I wanted, dick around on my phone, and then they're like, oh, well, we're going to fail him with the test, and then I passed the test, and they didn't know what to do about it.
I guess a baseline knowledge would definitely help.
It definitely does.
Yeah.
I didn't have anything particularly challenging.
No real challenges then.
I have a kind of difficult time writing English, but I only had to write English during my public speaking course. And when it comes to public speaking, as you might have figured out, I'm not bad at the presentation of public speaking. I'm simply bad at writing.
Okay. So you didn't have to take a circuits course per se?
I did. It was basically just a general kind of like electrician's course, just general electric.
Okay, so
and that basically just fits everything.
Okay, so no crazy in-depth physics knowledge per se, just the basics.
Yeah,
because when I bring it up because I went to an engineering school and the electrical engineers constantly, not just the electrical engineers, any engineer in general complained about the course circuits. Not that it was hard, per se, it was just so incredibly boring.
Well, the difference between my course and an engineer's course is they're engineering something. They're trying to make it. Right, I'm a mechanic. I'm simply trying to fix it.
Okay.
So I make things
that was my misunderstanding then. Okay.
Yeah, I don't make things, I just make them work.
All right. Well, it's good that you didn't have to take that circuits course. You probably would have been bored out of your mind.
Yeah, we're just... I'm actually very good at math. That's the messed up part. So shit like that is usually not that bad. Math
I'm just trying to... Okay, so the whole point of this is the anime fandom, computer science, some other things that maybe they haven't heard before, maybe get to know us a little bit more about maybe just a fun little background. That's the whole idea behind this. Tori, and just round robin here. Tori, what say is your worst subject in school, subject you hate the most? Something you've struggled with.
Why don't you drink beer yet?
Why aren't you drinking yet? Because of those problems.
Well, it might happen. No, I mean, the thing is, it's not that hard. The problems I have mostly stemmed from kind of the way the courses are being held, because a lot of the problem doing IT at the school I am is that there's a lot of just sit down, listen to the teacher talk about, whatever. Right? Mm-hmm. Depends on what we're doing there, whether it be anything. We've gotten some hands-on experience. We've slightly delved into, looked into coding. We have, especially JavaScript and whatnot, but we have, other than that, it's mostly just, they've been going through, different computer parts and how they work and how a computer's built up and blah, 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 stuff like that. Trying to teach that. The problem is obviously just that's the teacher standing in front of the class for an hour talking about it. You don't get to see anything. You don't get anything, and then eventually, you get to have the talk with the teacher where they grade you. I did pretty poorly, a lot worse than I was expecting on it. But the problem is because I'm supposed to explain it, but I'm supposed to dumb it down to to something that commoners could understand. And
it's already been dumbed down because it's a high school course.
Yeah, and then it's the problem there is that my dumbed down version has to fit with something that the teacher finds acceptable as a dumbed down version. Because they might have their version, and if my version doesn't coincide with their version, I'm answering incorrectly. And it's so you're sitting there, it's how the fuck do I explain this? So, yeah, we're basically going to have an exam coming up now in a couple of days, which is basically going to be everything that the teachers have talked about throughout the year so far. And they're going to put that together.
It's funny you bring...
So I'm curious to see how that's going to work.
You bring how, at least in Europe, because I experienced something very similar in Germany when I went to school there, where you have essentially an oral exam.
Yeah.
Instead of a written. I had to... It worked to my advantage, particularly for one class, because the teacher happened to be from Britain.
Nice.
So he's like, you can do this in English if you want. Oh my god, thank you.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have a problem. No, like, obviously, that's a problem, right? Because I'm from Norway, so a lot of, and as you can imagine, a lot of the tech words in, they're in English, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, and that's the same case for us. A lot of the things we talk about in English. But the problem is obviously again you need to find like a suitable Norwegian word to explain this, and it's like sitting there, it's like, how the fuck do I say that in Norwegian? It's like it becomes weird. So yeah, no, like I said, I'm not looking forward to the exam because I'm curious. I'm not sure how it's going to work. It's going to be like an oral / like, you know, it's essentially going to be a show and tell exam. So you're basically like, we're gonna be pulled in, right? And then it's like, okay, you get half an hour of preparation and half an hour of working in front of, well, you're always working in front of a teacher, and then half an hour in front of like the person who's going to grade you, and you're going to have to like work and talk your way through everything, and you're gonna have to explain it, but you can't explain it like they understand what I'm talking about. Like, you have to find a way to explain it as simple as possible, and at the same time
You have to do it in layman's terms.
Yeah, so it's gonna be. Obviously, we don't even know what we're actually gonna get to do. Like, there's like 4 different assignments 4 different tasks that's been assigned to us, and we don't even know what that is. We're gonna get to know that on Wednesday. And then we're going to get some preparation time. And then on Thursday, we're going to have the actual test when we're going to get a different task to do that might have something to do with what we have prepared for, or might be different. Who knows? So,
well, Tori, you'll be glad to know there's at least 2 people in the Discord who can help you with anything that has to do with that.
Believe you me, I'm probably going to shoot questions your way. And then I'm going to have to find a way to translate your questions into Norwegian, because that's going to be needed.
The closest thing to coding I ever came across while I was in school was in my calculus level courses.
Yeah.
Because they required a lab for all my math courses. Because you have to, as Joe said, work to build something was the idea. So coding mathematical problems was always an issue because, well, none of us knew how to code, nor did we have any basis for it. They just stuck us in the class and go, here, go code. We don't know even where to start.
Yep.
What language are we using?
That's the thing, right? But
that's the problem.
Where we start is obviously just as simple. First, we did like we played a coding game, which is basically, you know, it's a game that has been made to teach kindergartners how to code. So it's obviously very simple. They give you lines of code and they tell you what to do, and they tell you like the different commands. You only have to plot the commands in, and then, you know, the game reacts like walk right, walk up, like things like that.
Sounds like basic Python.
It's incredible. I think it's still JavaScript, but whatever. It's
yeah, they didn't have that when I was in school.
Yeah, and then
while I was in school, they were teaching us how to type because the old Macintosh computers just came out.
Yeah. And then we kind of upgraded.
I also learned keyboarding.
We upgraded.
It was awesome.
But we upgraded to like a more difficult, that was just kind of to have everybody look at coding. Then we upgraded to more, you know, standard program, more standard JavaScript, and looked at that, and that is obviously a bit more challenging because, again, we haven't obviously done any proper coding. We've just used programs that let us test stuff out, and then been able to look at other programming codes and whatnot, and then, you know, mess around with them to see if change this, what happens then, and stuff like that. So it's been pretty basic, but it's obviously a lot of like just sit down and then just play with it and see if you figure something out, because we're not really going to tell you anything, and you'll either understand it or you won't. So that's kind of how our coding courses work. Obviously, we're not working on coding in particular. We're kind of just lightly touching on everything. So
got it. Well, good luck to you. Good luck to Hickey in the future.
Godspeed.
I thought it was
Thank
a
you.
nice little spur of the moment kind of topic, just to kind of BS around a little bit before we get into crazy Satoshi Kon stuff.
Well, first we have
Not
questions.
Satoshi Tone, of course.
Not Satoshi Kon.
Satoshi-tan Daisuke.
But we do have questions to go over. Some news came out, such as how hype is Made in Abyss Season 2?
Hype!
Yeah.
I got nothing.
Shut up.
Hype?
Nothing
I
at
wouldn't
all.
say I'm hyped about it, actually.
I
Just
am.
gonna watch it and enjoy it. That's about it.
I fucking love the first season of Made in Abyss. I'm so ready for season 2.
Good.
Yeah, no, I'm not hyped, but I'm expecting good stuff.
Yeah.
Basically, for me, it's like
I'm
being-
expecting more of the same as well.
You know, like I think being hyped for something like Made in Abyss kind of ruins the show a little bit. So I'll just lower my expectations and be surprised, just like the first season.
Just dig a little hole, put my bar in it, and I'm about that hype.
Well, you didn't watch it, so you don't count.
Yep.
And you're missing out.
You are.
Nah,
You could read a manga.
I'm okay.
He certainly could.
Yep.
And that question was brought to us by Native.
It was.
Member of the Discord. Join the Discord. You can get it on our Mal group or my Twitter at fullmetal_LAX. It is my pinned tweet.
A plethora of places that you can contact and join the Discord channel, of course.
Yep.
Definitely hit us all up on Twitter with random nonsense. We most likely respond to everything.
Or maybe you won't.
Yeah, basically.
Who knows?
I'll have a Twitter.
I'll respond to a lot.
I might be asleep if you ever tweet at me.
Ooh, boy.
Hmm.
We do all live in different time zones, sort of, kind of.
And I'm the one who lives furthest away, time zone wise.
Mm-hmm.
Our next question is a slew of questions from Semi.
Yep.
So let's just knock these down one at a time. What do you say, guys?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
How do you feel about long transformation scenes, such as, like in Madoka Magica Rebellion? If it only happens once.
If it only happens once, I'm fucking stellar on it. I love it.
Yeah.
Especially if it's in a movie. If it happens multiple times, like in, I don't know, let's say that shitty show we reviewed a couple episodes back, Sailor Moon.
You
Yeah,
went
no
there.
thank you.
You went there with the
Now
shitty...
come on.
Oh, you
Bring
went
the
there with
hate. I love it.
shitty-
I feed on your salty tears.
I don't need another slew of 50 to 100 emails
No.
of just, you guys are wrong.
You do.
Well, guess what? Those people stopped listening because their feelings were hurt. So,
Actually,
fine.
we've had more listeners than ever.
yeah,
No.
but not them.
You don't know that. Maybe they hate to listen to us.
Ooh, that's
Maybe
fine.
they hate listen to all of our opinions.
That's fine.
I'm down with that.
They show to the
The
friends
Dragon
and
Ball
say how
contest
bad
is
we are.
Yeah.
the Dragon Ball cast is coming.
Oh, I'm not there.
Oh, I love Dragon Ball.
No,
We're
shut
not
up.
That would be
there
a
yet.
very positive cast.
Oh, well. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Like I agree with Senpai. I like transformation scenes. Hell, I can even do it more than once. The problem, obviously, with the
Oh,
transformation scenes.
wait, Tori. I need you to do it right now, then. Do a transformation scene for me. I can see you in the video. Do the transformation
I
scene.
can't. I can't
Oh.
do that. Sorry, but no, I like transformation scenes. And obviously, it depends, right? They need to be good looking. They need to do something interesting and not just spin around, flash of light. Now they're in uniform. That's like, yeah, that's boring. But you know, I do like transformation scenes. But yeah, the problem with transformation scenes is that they're mostly used to save time. So you know, then you end up with
Well, they're used to waste time.
Sailor Moon, which is basically let's do the same thing over and over. Or even Digimon Adventure, where they do keep
Looking
keep
at you,
fucking
Toei.
where they keep fucking transforming, and that takes up way too long and happens every episode multiple
Pokemon,
times.
digital monsters, Pokemon are the
Yeah.
Vicky, what are your thoughts on this?
I think it's the same. I guess we're gonna agree on this one. It's only happening once, and transformation scenes they're quite good. I think they're good. I'm a Tokusatsu fan as well, so for me, transformation scenes are awesome. Then the problem is if they keep doing the full length, a lot of times they're just trying to save money, putting repeated frames and stuff like that. So that part is not good. So if it's only happening once, I don't see a problem.
Okay.
What are your thoughts, JD?
I never really like transformation scenes because they're generally the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm watching a show from the 70s or 80s, then I'm in that mindset where it's happening for the first time. Now, it just seems like any show that has any transformation scene ever is taking the exact same sequence of events that's already been done before. It's very rare that I'm actually seeing something new. So I think they pretty much shouldn't happen at all at this point,
No.
unless they're doing something unique.
Nah, that's not fun.
Well, based on this question, and this isn't Semi's question, but how do you guys feel about classic magical girl shows? Like, not the dark magical girls of like Madoka or anything like that.
Like Cutie Honey?
I mean,
Cutie Honey is
Pre-pro?
okay.
I used to like them. Like I seriously used to like them, but ever since I rewatched Cardcaptor Sakura and start screaming at the screen as loud as I could, "Sakura, you bitch, little fuck! This is the right card." Like I don't think it's
Yes,
for me
scream at
anymore.
that 10-year-old.
Like
Show
How
her.
could this 10-year-old not have the knowledge to fight things with elements?
oh, come on. I need a card to reflect things. What could it be? Half episode after. Oh, a mirror card.
Do-do-do-do-Dora.
God
Do-do-do-do-Dora.
fucking damn it.
Yeah, there
I
are
don't know.
definitely some major flaws in Cardcaptor Sakura. There's no
But
doubt.
I used to like
Speaking
them.
of which,
Also Tokyo Mew Mew, I watched the shit out of the show. I enjoyed it. I used to enjoy it. The problem is, they are for, I don't want to say that, but the age they game at for the public, it's a little lower than mine, and it's a little lower than the anime I usually enjoy.
No shit.
So yeah, I
Now, you have one
I
friend
get
who is the
frustrated.
direct mark for these series.
I get frustrated really easy when I'm watching anime. So
It's
sometimes
almost like
I
the intended
overreact.
target is little girls.
well, I mean, take it one step
That's
further.
Hickey's intended
with,
target as well.
with super. With,
Hey.
You can take this one step further with the super robot shows.
Yep.
With the mechs transforming or combining, how they also just go through the motions of the same thing over and over again, and there's a reason why you don't see a lot of super robot shows anymore at all. I mean, what was the last one? Gurren Lagann?
Maybe.
Is that the last super robot show? I'm just
The last
working
one I
from the
know
top
of.
of my mind here, so
Who knows?
Last one I watched, at least.
yeah. So it's unfortunate. I just seeing something unique just doesn't happen anymore.
Of course not. Everything's been done.
No.
I
I guess there's a lot
generally,
of
I generally
trends.
don't like magical girl shows.
Well,
Like
speaking of unique, how about we go to that next question?
Oh, we don't get to answer the question? Okay.
Just Hickey, no one else.
What Joe's question?
Yeah,
Oh, Tori, do you want to answer it? Because I don't.
sure. I mean, I don't have anything to add, really. I don't really
Well,
watch
then,
Magical
come
Girls.
on.
Well, you were interrupting Joe. That's the point.
All right,
And then
everyone take a
silence.
drink at the same
Wow,
exact time.
all
Thank
of
you.
us took one simultaneously. That's funny.
That was great. All right.
Yep.
I'm not using video chat, and my water
Let's
I
just-
ran out of water. So
Let's
yeah,
just roll right into it.
Yep. Well done.
Semi's next question. What is a unique twist you would like to see done in a specific genre? I would like good to be done to the idol genre.
You do. That's
That'd be a
Idolmaster.
twist.
I would like to be
Yes.
good.
It's funny you bring that up.
wake up, girls.
In one particular forum, they do like Love Live, right? Just work with me on this. They do like it, but even then, this season they go, wow, they've truly ran out of ideas.
No.
It's almost like Sunrise has
No.
beaten the same dead horse every year their entire existence.
Look, man, idol shows don't change. They always repeat things. Love Live and Love. You can compare Love Live to Love Live Sunshine because it's
Of course you
basically
can.
the same happenings. you can compare Idolmaster to Idolmaster Cinderella Girls because it is also the same happenings. You can compare
Makoto
Wake Up Girls
Kikuchi,
to anything
best
because
idol
the
ever.
Wake Up Girls are still trying to be famous and
Okay. Of course you can compare Love Live, and Love Live Sunshine. Of course you can compare Idolmaster and Idolmaster Cinderella Girls. This isn't even comparing apples to oranges. This is comparing apples to apples.
It's comparing a red apple to another red apple.
No, you're comparing a red apple to the same red apple.
No, come on. It could be different. The stories could be different. But for example, Love Live and Love Live Sunshine. Love Live, they want to save the school. Okay. Love Live
It's
Sunshine.
junk.
Hey, let's save the school. The school doesn't need to be saved. Let's save the school.
That's fine. The
With
problem
idols,
the problem I have
Same
with
goes
Love Live
with
Sunshine.
Idolmaster, but I can say what happens in Idolmaster and Idolmaster Cinderella Girls because it happens way later, and that's a spoiler.
Yep. What I
Yeah,
don't
Wake
like
Up
about
Girls are
They
fucking
want to
themselves
save
in
the
the corner.
school.
What I don't like about Sunshine, though, is the fact that not only do they do that the same as Love Live, the problem is that they literally do everything the same as the first season.
Yeah, same goes to
That's the
Cinderella
problem.
Girls. Like,
Yeah, but I mean, come on, even to think that, let's practice on the roof. It's like, really? Really? And the fact that they're so
Yeah,
self-aware about it as well, that just like, what would Muse do in this situation? Yeah, let's do the same thing. It's like, oh, fuck off.
Do
Or
the
you
same
leave
stolen
micros
hand
out of
gestures
this.
from American college football teams.
Yep.
Hook 'em horns, Love Live Sunshine.
talk about idols.
Roll Tide. Roll Tide.
Now that would be a unique twist.
I would like to see an idol or an office, like a producer, someone
got it.
failing. Like, I want to see someone failing because no one fails in idol shows. So like,
I got the answer I
would
want.
really like to see someone like they become drug addicted or something because they fail so hard and get depressed. I don't know. That would be fun. That
Oh,
would be
I
He wants
read
a
that.
Shindo
Okay.
I
L
wanna see that shit
adaptation.
happens.
I read
That
okay.
would be a unique twist. Shit, I would watch that.
Yeah. Hickey wants a Shindo L adaptation. Got it.
Hey, no, wait. I mean, I'm not discarding the option, but
No, what I want is I want to see a fighting based anime, right? Like Teppu, but I want it to be entirely idols. That's the twist I
You've
want.
made this joke before too.
The girls
had-
from Love
no,
Live just
I mean-
beating the fucking shit out of each other.
Yeah.
we might see. Come on, we had the idol Jihan, idol incidents with the Congresswoman idols. So we might see, like, although it would be way funnier than singing in the ring and beating the shit out of each other.
Idol Master Cross Tiger Mask, just a fucking hard choke slam.
I mean,
right in the middle.
we do have a unique twist to, the idol genre with the Backstreet Girls adaptation coming out.
Oh yeah, that is a unique twist.
Yeah.
That is a twist. That good call. Good call. That was a good call.
I don't think anybody's ever done that before. Yeah, no. Yeah, so that's my answer. Backstreet Girls, I guess. That'd be my answer.
That is not the okay.
Backstreet's back. All right.
Any other genre you guys want to think about a unique twist?
You know, I would like to see for let's call post-apocalyptic setting a genre.
Of course.
Just humor
Yes.
me here.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
Um,
Tori's viciously rubbing his eyes.
Yeah, of course it's post-apocalyptic.
all right, let's
Poke-apocalyptic.
just call it a genre here because generally, at least in recent times, it's an atomic bomb, war broke out, always something along those lines, right?
Yeah.
Even going along vampire, it's a virus. I would like to see what happened in Future Boy Conan with a natural disaster.
You ever
And
seen
that-
Barefoot Gen?
When you say you would like unique, you'd rather see them like go back and rehash some older ideas. And try
Yes.
to- yeah.
So that's where I was heading. And I was just using that as an example. I would like to see a lot of genres try to rehash an old idea that hasn't been used in decades.
Yeah, something that's
And
died
work
out.
and work at that. Yeah, something that's died out. Just bring
Yeah.
it back, and then just just have an idea, use it for heavy inspiration. And we'll definitely go into inspiration when we get to Satoshi Kon.
Yeah. I mean, that's that's
giant
normal,
robot tokusatsu.
That's normal, though. Like, as things progress, eventually old ideas starts resurfacing. So, I wouldn't put it past that.
But that's the problem I'm seeing with a lot of anime today. Instead of doing that, they're just rehashing the same ideas. Like we just talked about with the idol shows. They're just rehashing those ideas of each season over and over again.
Well, that industry's really kind of fucking... There's not much they can do with it. The fact that they keep making idol shows is the weird part to me.
What are you talking about? Hickey just said just have a heavy drug addiction. That's a unique twist, and that's new.
That's also part of the real world, which Japan just heavily ignores in the idol industry.
You can have an idol going to a foreign country and totally failing. That's happened in America.
Those are called pop stars. Which one, you may ask? All of them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, see, that's a unique twist and idea. You get where I'm going here? They're just using the same ideas over and over again.
A unique twist in modern anime would make it not terrible. That would be great. It'd be fucking stellar.
It'd be not terrible for like one
here's
season.
A great example.
You'd be tired of it already.
Here's a great example we're seeing now. Black Clover. That's not a new idea. That's not even an old idea. It's the same idea from other shows.
Every other show.
They have stopped
and
the
it's not
Naruto
even an old
arc
show.
And
it's
went
the
into
shows
the
that
fairy
just
tale
ended.
Yep.
I believe that was a direct quote. They've stopped the Naruto arc and started the fairy tale arc.
Yep.
Yeah, that was my quote.
Yeah, that's why it was a direct quote, because you're here to claim it.
Yeah.
All
right.
I want to see my Mori girls running with doses in their mouth again. I really miss that thing. I really do.
I really miss 90s harem shows.
Well,
all right. So let's
you
move on
need a time
before we,
machine. Like, there's not much you can do about it.
Ah, my Buddha, I miss you.
let's move on before we start rambling here.
Yep.
To Lavru, please.
Is there an anime movie from a series that you liked more than the actual TV show? For example, Dragon Ball Z
Feel.
Broly, Pokemon Mewtwo,
Girls and Puzzles the film.
Mamoru Hosoda's Digimon, etc.
Heaven's Feel. Fate Stay Night sucked. Heaven's Feel.
I haven't watched Heaven's Feel, so I can't. There's not even any pirate sites yet. I need to wait a little bit. Girls and Puzzles the film. I really enjoy Girls and Puzzles, and that movie is amazing. For me, at least.
December Sky, I liked more than Gundam Thunderbolt.
Really?
Yeah. It was the same content, but they got rid of a lot of the bullshit.
Oh, interesting.
We said have to watch the intro and outro a bunch of times. It was just kind of one concise 2 hour... Because the entire series was only, 2 hours long anyway? So they essentially made it a 2 hour runtime, and that was that.
Yeah, I guess they were able to flesh out a lot of the issues that the season, this quote-unquote season had.
Yeah, that's kind of a cheap answer because it's a compilation, but it's a compilation of what they've already done.
Right.
But it was more concise because they didn't have as much time to fill, and it felt like a 2 hour narrative anyway.
Mm-hmm. So, actually...
EOE is also a good answer.
There's a lot of those long running TV shows, especially shonens. Generally, there's always at least one movie that comes out that shines even above the TV series. You could say the One Piece Mamoru Hosoda movie is a good example. Even the last three.
Digimon the movie.
The
the
One
last.
Piece movie. The One Piece movie, that was a Hosoda movie that was a movie Hosoda made to basically say "fuck you, Studio Ghibli."
Pokemon the movie 2000.
Even the last three One Piece movies have been so stellar that you could argue that they're actually better than the TV show because they're self-contained. A lot of the Inuyasha movies. One example, going way back, Urusei Yatsura movie 2, Beautiful Dreamer, which I'll bring up later when we start talking about Satoshi Kon. That's one of the best movies of the 80s, in my opinion. It's really good, and that's way better than the TV show. So yeah, it's not uncommon for any long-standing show to have a movie that's better.
Yeah, I can see that. The problem I have though is a lot of the shows I've watched either don't have a movie, or at least not one I've seen.
Would you say the Pat Labor movie was better than the OVA series?
No, I wouldn't. No, I haven't seen Pat Labor movie 2 yet. But
Okay.
Pat Labor the movie 1, I'd say it's still good. But let's put it this way. The Pat Labor the movie 1 without the early days OVA is fun still. But doesn't mean as much. You need the OVA for the movie to work. So in that sense, it's hard for me to say that the movie is better than the OVA. But, I mean, yeah, like Senpai said...
So you're saying the movies can't be better unless they have the context of the show that they're based on?
In that case.
No, in that case, yeah. Not always.
If you haven't seen Dragon Ball Z and you watch Dragon Ball Z Broly as the example, you would be totally lost.
Well, yeah, and in my opinion...
why would it be better?
But that's my opinion. When something is completely reliant on something else to even work in the first place, I have a hard time saying I might enjoy the movie more. That's not the point. But I have a hard time saying that, oh, this movie is definitely better. Like, oh, you should totally check out this movie. Just, watch 500 episodes of Dragon Ball first. Like,
And for my last cheater answer, I'll say all 8 Kara no Kyokai movies are better than the Type Moon universe.
Oh,
God, come on.
True. Strike Witches
I don't think
movie.
anyone's going to disagree.
Truly Strike Witches.
So,
I haven't
Now
seen
is-
Strike Witches.
Now, is that like
me
Can
neither.
Kale but planes?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I guess.
For the sake of argument, yes, it is.
I want Can Kale but trains now.
You'll get that eventually. Don't worry about it.
I'm sure I will. Don't worry, we already have better Can Kale with arpeggio Blue Steel. Please direct all your hate mail to JD's direct email. That's
Oh,
JD's
great. And I'll be
direct
like,
email.
I haven't seen any of that and I don't plan to.
Good.
Hey, Strike Witches is cool.
Well, I was
Sure.
referring to Con Cole.
Oh,
Or
okay.
Arpeggio Blue Steel.
Strike Witches is cool. You should watch it.
Nah.
Just saying.
Should
That's
I
a part
watch
of the
it?
anime fandom I will never be a part of.
Mecha Musume? Oh, it's fine.
Oh, boy. All right, so now for kind of a debate here, because this question's a little bit difficult. I get, well, maybe not. Pick your favorite out of the list,
Whoa.
and
No, wait, never mind. Go.
which one do you think is objectively the best? So, I guess it's two answers he's looking for here.
Yeah.
Out of the directors, what is your favorite movie, and what do you think is actually the best movie, if they're different?
No, I think
okay,
he's
so
talking
first
about
one's
directors.
Mamoru Hosoda.
No, he's not asking for movies. He asks us to
Pick
rank
which
the,
director you
director.
like the best and which one is objectively quote unquote the best.
Yeah.
Oh, so not the movies from each director.
He wants
Yeah.
Okay.
a list of who's better.
I think Oshi's the best, and objectively, I think Hosoda's the better director.
So the three people are Mamoru Hosoda, Makoto Shinkai, and Mamoru Oshii.
Yep.
Although we can take your question in, because I mean that is a pretty decent question.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll answer that after we go through the directors then.
Yeah. Mamoru, for me, I think Mamoru Oshii, he's definitely up there. And out of these ones, I'd probably have to rank... I would put, like, for me personally, I would put Makoto Shinkai at the top with Mamoru Oshii and then Mamoru Hosoda. But speaking of what I think just general quality, I'd probably put Mamoru Oshii at the top with then Makoto Shinkai and Mamoru Hosoda. For me.
Okay,
Honestly.
my favorite would be probably Oshii, based on what he's done, such as Beautiful Dreamer, Uritsu Yatsura, Ghost in the Shell. I think Shinkai's objectively the best, just because he's clearly the most successful.
That
Out
is
of the
no
three.
measure of that's no measure of worth to me, I guess.
To you, no. To me, yes. But that's why it's objectively if possible.
Yeah.
Hickey, any answer?
I said before
Did we-
starting the cast, I'm in no condition of talking about Japanese guys. I won't remember, but I think Oshii on top, then Shinkai, and then
I
Hosoda.
think Oshii's the best.
I do think Oshi's the best.
I mean, although Makoto Shinkai is
I just
the
don't think
only
he's done enough.
director. Like, I know, but like, although Makoto Shinkai is the guy that puts me on the edge of my seat, and I keep sweating and say, "Fuck you, Shinkai," every single time. I really, really enjoy Mamoru Oshii stuff, and I don't mind rewatching it a lot of times. Like, I don't know how many times I've watched Ghost in the Ship. You know, the Sky Crawlers, I think it's the other one. Like, I lose the count. I don't know, because I don't mind. I don't mind like finishing the movie and then starting again immediately. Like, I don't mind doing that with Mamoru Oshii stuff. So for me, in my opinion, because there's no objectively the best, Sammy, and you should know that. If you don't know, then you need some help. In my opinion, Mamoru Oshii is number one. Like,
yeah, fair enough. The thing, but like, just to answer JD, the thing I think, especially why, like for example, why I would rank Makoto Shinkai over Mamoru Hosoda is simply due to the fact that a lot of the things that people tend to overlook is what Makoto Shinkai has proved to the anime industry. Makoto Shinkai came in at a time where anime was considered, I mean, it still is, but it was mostly considered a team effort, and it was considered expensive to make because people weren't properly like utilizing the technologies available to them. They didn't want to invest in these ways. And Makoto Shinkai came out, what's the first movie he made? God damn it, what's the name of that movie?
Was it Voices of a Distant Star?
Yes, he
Sheener
made that
Cat.
by himself.
The Sheener Cat.
Well, not that. This was
That's
before.
the first thing he made, though.
No, it's not. He made something before he was ever known. This was something he made in school. He made, what JD said. That's what he made. The thing is, it's considered later because it was remade. But he made it by himself using, just tools he could buy and using computer animation and whatnot. He made that, which was then eventually remade into an actual movie.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like that's why I
That's a
obviously
good answer.
I haven't watched a whole lot of Mamoru Hosoda, so that makes it hard for me to rank him. But it's like, because I have that background on Makoto Shinkai, I'm like, I can't ignore that, because he did kind of prove to everyone that, how effective thinking differently and new technologies were for the anime industry, since he was able to make his anime by himself.
All right, round robin then, real quick. Their best film each. Hickey, start with you.
also the what is
Are we
the name?
doing their best? Are we doing our favorites then their best?
You can.
Okay.
I guess
I'm
I'm
just doing
just
my
gonna
favorite.
say my favorites because seriously, I am in no condition of being.
Fair enough.
That's fine. Just go for it.
Hosoda, Ameyuki, Children's of the Wolf Children. Shinkai,
Children,
I
okay.
really like your name. Really, really have a soft spot for your name. And Oshi, Ghost in the Shell, definitely.
Okay.
Joe?
I think, my favorite work is The Girl Who Leapt Through Time. And I agree with Hickey. His best work is going to be Wolf Children.
Tori? Oh, no.
That
Continue
was
Shinkai.
only for Mamoru Hosoda.
I'm sorry. I
Uh,
jumped ahead.
Shinkai is going to be Garden of Words twice.
Mhm.
And then Oshi is also going to be Ghost in the Shell twice.
Okay.
Tori?
Yeah, like I said, I haven't watched. There's a lot of Mamoru Hosoda I haven't seen, so that makes it. That means the only movie I've seen by, or the only thing I've seen by Hosoda is Summer Wars. So that's gonna have to rank at the top for me. I can't.
Everything
see-
Summer Wars.
Yeah, no, but like Summer Wars is, my favorite Mamoru Hosoda. It's a good movie. It's probably gonna get beat up by Wolf Children when I watch it, but And
Meh.
Makoto Shinkai, I still haven't seen Garden of Words, but I did really like 5 centimeters per second. So that was a very good movie. And Mamoru Oshii, I'm going to be very original and say Ghost in the Shell.
It's a hard one to
Oh,
top.
boy.
Yeah.
I believe I'm just going to copy Joe.
No, you
I
can't.
have
One
the
for
same
one?
answers as Joe.
All of them? All right.
It just worked out that way.
Yeah.
All right, so the
Finally,
same
no.
rules apply to Hayao Miyazaki or Satoshi Kon.
Satoshi Kon.
I would let
Satoshi
let
Kon.
Hayao Miyazaki burn in an eternal damnation, erase all
I
his works
say
from
Miyazaki.
existence, and still keep Satoshi Kon.
JD, get off the cast.
Yep, that's it. Bye.
I say Miyazaki.
Yeah, get off the cast.
It is my opinion, so screw you guys.
Nope.
No.
We don't accept other people's opinions on here. Sorry.
That's right.
Oh, damn it, you're right. All right, I guess we should just move on to the next question then.
What are we, other groups? God. Got that frontier justice in my Discord, boy. What's up?
Leave my echo chamber alone and empty.
So this
Please.
this next question is from John. Though more of a game, I guess. Assign an anime director to a property. Manga, novel, light novel, game, live action series, cartoon, what have you, that you'd like to see adapted into an anime. And explain why do you think it'd be a good pick, and what would you like to see it adapted as, movie, OVA, what have you.
I am in no condition to
That's
answer this question, so
that
I'm
is a-
gonna pass.
So just
Hard question, my guy.
we could go on, and that could be a whole podcast in itself of that topic. We might
Yeah.
do it in the future.
I got it.
For
Got it.
for the sake of keeping it short and sweet, just pick one.
All right, it's gonna be The Girl on the Shore, Mamoru Hosoda, movie.
Oh, interesting. That would work. That would definitely work.
Right? He's like the perfect guy to do it.
Yeah.
I could totally see that happening. Yeah. Tori, do you have an answer?
The problem, I mean, kind of, but no, because I'm unsure who I'd want to direct it. I know I'd want a manga made as a movie, and the manga
one?
I want is Our Happy Time. But I have no idea who would actually want to direct that. That is
I'd like to see Kurosagi Corpse Delivery by Anno as a series. Preferably
I
an
would
OVA.
see it as a series, but I don't know who. I wouldn't say Anno would be good for directing it.
Oh, he's got that nice depression key down.
See, I would see.
I think
Let's
the
see
last
how.
time
Let's see how the director of the Junji Ito series goes in the winter.
it's gonna be bad. They don't know how to handle horror. I'm calling
Well,
that
if the
right
director handles it respectively well, then I would say that guy. But you definitely need a director that has a lot more humor than what I've experienced with Anno
now.
for
Anno's fun.
Kurosagi Corp Service. I will answer a game. I would like to see.
I think it would be better if we just had a list of series and we tried to assign them that way. This would have been a better question that way.
Yeah, coming up with something on the spot's a little bit more difficult, but let's go with. I would like to see a Metroid Prime anime. Not even Prime, just Metroid something, an anime, based on that, and the director. Let's go with Mamoru Oshii if he's got the time, or someone that's worked under him.
Yeah.
I think that would be really cool and make it into a TV series.
Yeah. Just to assign a director to my...
Could you imagine that? That'd be awesome.
I would like Ancient Magus Bride by Akiyuki Shimbo.
just to kind of assign somebody to the or a director to my idea, just so that I have done that. I'd probably switch it out eventually because I'm not sure if he'd actually do a good job with the story of My Happy Time for the movie. But I mean, I could see Tatsuyuki Nagai doing the movie.
And who is Tatsuyuki Nagai?
Tatsuyuki Nagai is the same guy who directed Anohana.
Okay.
Now, who's doing Devilman Crybaby? Because that's going to be the best series of 2018.
I sure hope you like it.
Devilman Crybaby.
I sure fucking hope I like it.
Let's find it out.
Because you're in a very cynical anime mood recently.
I mean, obviously, Masaki Yuasa is put up as director because he's the head of Crybaby, but they're basically gonna switch out directors every episode, from what I understand. So
There you go.
good job, Netflix.
You've made Joe cry.
Yep.
Polygon hasn't
The
failed
day has
me
happened.
yet, so
Cry, baby.
Polygon hasn't failed me yet, so I don't think Netflix will either.
We'll see.
Hickey,
Yes.
how about yourself?
I don't know. I actually don't know, and I really don't give a fuck about answering this. Not because it's a John question, just because really I can't. I just can't. I can't think straight enough.
Can I try and answer a Brazil
Akiyuki
question?
Shinbo.
Can I try to answer the Brazil question
Good night,
for you
Pun
then?
Pun. I got you.
Is there a Brazil question?
How about how about that movie that took place in the slums of Brazil?
Slumdog Millionaire.
Was it Day of the Gods or something?
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I can't remember the title off the top of my head. Is that what it was called?
City of Man and also City of the Gods.
City of the Gods. Yeah. Very good movie. Took place in Brazil. I believe it's only in Portuguese. With English subtitles is how I watched it. I think that'd be a great mature anime.
Well, my favorite one, which would be a good anime, good mature anime, is Elite Squad. That is the name in English. You can find I think it's 8 out of 10 in the IMDb, and that's a very good score for a Brazilian movie. High violence.
The Shawshank Redemption has a 9.2, and it's the best movie of all time.
Yeah.
What is?
The Shawshank Redemption.
Oh.
It is high violence. A lot of people screaming, a lot of hate going on screen, and it's directed by the same guy who did the new RoboCop. But don't mind it; it's not his best work. Elite Squad is his best work. That's why he got recognized, and I think it would be awesome just to have a Jormungand-like anime going into slums and just shootouts everywhere.
Ooh,
Cool.
I got one more answer.
All right.
I want Doro Hidoro by at least by Polygon Pictures. I don't really care who directs it because if they're from Polygon, it's gonna be basically the same. Polygon's so generic with how they do everything that it wouldn't matter who directed it.
Well, alrighty then. Next question is from Crash.
I like that guy.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
He talks in VC sometimes.
Occasionally. Usually I just call him.
Are the Armored Trooper Votome's OVAs from the 90s and later 2000s worth the time? He's been watching the show from the 80s and noticed that there were sequels to it. He was wondering if the OVAs are any good. Do they add anything substantial to the story? Also, any chance of a Votome's cast in the future?
Everything's on the table as possible, but it's a 50-episode series from the 80s, and I mean, I know Tori has no interest in it. Hickey hasn't seen it. JD and I have seen it, but I don't know if I'm going to rewatch it. I don't really want to spoil how I feel about it. As for the OVAs, from what I've seen, I haven't seen them, but from what I've seen, they have like a 6 average on Mal, which means basically nothing, except for people on Mal don't like mecha.
But I saw the 90s Votomes way back, and it wasn't very good, honestly.
If you like the series, check them out. And if
Nah,
you
I
don't like
wouldn't
them at
even say
any
they're
point, just
even worth
fucking stop.
It's
Stop
a
and
lot
drop
of
'em.
it's a lot of bureaucratic nonsense the whole time. So it doesn't even have like what you liked in the Votome series isn't in the OVAs. At least that's my opinion over it.
I say
They're
give it a
not
go,
worth watching.
but be ready to drop it at any point.
Yeah. Chance of a cast, yeah, as Joe said, anything's possible. If it would happen, it would all depend on if we could either get a third person, if Hickey wants to watch a little bit of it, or what have you.
I can do it. I don't mind.
No, you can't.
Once you're finally out of school, you can do it.
Right. We'd have to plan for that for a month in advance like we did with Sailor Moon because it's longer. Because anything over 25 episodes, the idea is if we are to do a series over that, we would do just at max 25. in the case of Votome, since 2 of us have already seen it, we'd like to do all of it.
Yeah.
So.
And it can't possibly happen for me in December or anything like big holiday gift-giving season like that.
But we will take it under advisement.
Yeah.
And right in the trash.
Right into the circular file, Crash.
Oh boy. Okay, last question then. Who should be directing Dreaming Machine, which is the movie that Satoshi Kon was working on before he died and is unfinished?
And the answer is no one.
Woohoo! No one.
Yeah.
Absolutely no one.
Yeah.
You know what I want, though, is I want all the work he did as an art book. $20, here you go. I just want the work. I don't want anyone else to direct it, because no one else can direct it.
Yep. Like, I mean, they were talking, I remember, I read interviews, they were talking about who would direct it. They were originally going to hire Mamoru Hosoda to direct the movie, until President Madhouse Maruyama came out and said, no, he's not doing it. It would be a good movie, but it would be a Hosoda movie. And we don't want a Hosoda movie. We want a Satoshi Kon movie. So, never happening.
I don't know. I kind of disagree with that. I think Hosoda. Why would you turn down making a good movie? I just don't understand.
Because it's not supposed to be. It's not supposed to be that. It's supposed to be in honor of Satoshi Kon. That's why making a Hosoda movie is not in honor of Satoshi Kon. That is making a Hosoda movie.
I don't know. I think Hosoda would have a very good idea in how to at least do it well because of his work on Summer Wars. Very similar in style and feel, I thought, to a couple of Kon's movies.
I understand where you come from, but I think
it's
he's
not
just
as
so far
it's not
away
nearly
from
as dark
Satoshi Kon
though
is.
as it. It's not. He's not nearly as dark as he would need to be. I think that's where the issue lies.
I don't even think he blends surrealism and realism as well as Satoshi Kon does, and that is my problem.
Oh no, he doesn't blend it as well as one of the masters of doing it. Who would have fucking thought?
Yeah.
If you ask me, no one should direct it because it's an unfinished work. It's someone else's work.
Yep.
So like, if anyone should do it, it should have been his direct assistant, but she can't.
She can't. Yeah.
She can't do it.
No.
She didn't. She wasn't far enough in her training process to do it.
Yep. And the same thing, it's like, even though they are looking into making it, the thing that they're looking into making it without like a set director, because a lot of the animations there, a lot of the cuts are already made, production notes are finished, you have a bunch of scripts made by Satoshi Kon, and they have so much work that Satoshi Kon's made, because remember, Satoshi Kon, he knew he was nearing the end when making this. So he has basically been recording all his thoughts to give to other people. Because he wanted this movie to be finished. And he wanted to make it himself, but he couldn't. Because eventually he just couldn't work anymore. But, so they technically have everything needed for the movie. So they can go ahead doing a lot of it. Now, what Maruyama is saying is they don't have the funds. They haven't got enough money to make it, so it's on hold indefinitely. Now, I call bullshit on that because I don't think they haven't been able to secure funds to make a Satoshi Kon movie. But I think that is hard to believe. But I honestly just think that the reason why he's saying this is because obviously no one knew Satoshi Kon better than this guy, and he.
And who was that again?
Maruyama. He's the president at Madhouse.
Madhouse. Okay.
So, and he wants a movie that is a Satoshi Kon movie at his level, that is in honor of Satoshi Kon. The problem is, without Satoshi Kon, doing that is hard, and there isn't anyone capable of taking on that role, which is why it's rather than talking about Dreaming Machine, Maruyama, he is now talking about doing a documentary on Satoshi Kon's life instead. So I think Dreaming Machine is finished.
Which is why
I don't see Dreaming Machine ever coming out. If, let's say in this hypothetical world, that they have to get somebody involved to finish, okay? Let's just work with that. I think, based on what Kon has experienced and who he's worked with in the past, I think the two people that were involved with a lot of his earlier stuff, who trained him and everything. Experienced with. So where I'm going with this is Hiroyuki Kitakubo and Otomo, the Akira guys, and worked with Kon on Memories.
Believe me, after the bullshit they
Magnetic
fucking
Rose.
just pulled off on me on Ryujin Z, I don't want them touching your fucking Kon work.
Well, they would just. I think they would have the right idea on how to continue. It's in this hypothetical little world. All right, Joe.
Yep.
Because I honestly
Hypothetical
don't think this
perfect world.
movie's ever going to come out.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
But I think those I would like at least those two people who have a lot of experience with Kon. They worked with him in his early years. I think they would have a good idea on where they would take the film.
If I had to answer who I wanted to direct Dreaming Machine, I would pick Mamoru Oshii. Literally.
Okay.
Because of his work on Angel's Egg, basically on its own.
How's it going, man?
I like that answer.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I would pick Mamoru Oshii just... Oh, Jesus Christ, my phone's going off.
I am going to be in Los Angeles.
Okay, throw that across the room. Yeah, I would pick Mamoru Oshii just because of his work on Angel's Egg and nothing else. Because he's already done that surrealist kind of ideal, and with as much notation as Kon did at the end of his life, I would like him to carry that forward. And knowing Oshii, he doesn't really care. He will get it done that way.
Yeah. I don't know much about Dreaming Machine, so I wouldn't even know where to really truly begin.
In a perfect world, I would like a $40 fucking 600-page book. Or a set of $20 books. I don't give a shit how it comes out. But really, I would just like production notes, key animations that were already done, any thoughts Kon wrote down, translated, and I would buy that book in a heartbeat. And that's what I want for Dreaming Machine. I don't want a movie that's not Kon. I don't want someone else's adaptation of a master's work, essentially.
Yeah.
I don't think it's worth the time. I think it's a waste. That's about how I feel about it.
I could see Madhouse in a hypothetical world. Instead of continuing the movie, they make an OVA series with a few different directors' take on what Dreaming Machine could have been.
Well, in case you didn't know,
just taking that idea, using it as inspiration for other works. I think that'd be a cool little idea.
I'm just gonna
in
say
case
this.
you didn't know, Satoshi Kon already has a manga,
Yeah.
so putting it down that way wouldn't be a bad idea.
But I'm just gonna say this: as long as Maruyama is president at Madhouse, there's not gonna be anything. I don't think there's ever gonna be anything Dreaming Machine related, because again, this is the guy who knew Satoshi Kon the best. They were good friends, and the last thing he wants is to do something that he feels is disrespectful towards Satoshi Kon.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Tori, but just for a hypothetical, unrealistic world.
No, I'm aware, but that's why I'm saying, in order for your hypothetical,
sake of the
unrealistic
question.
way to go to work, I would have to say, and then, the president of Madhouse would have to get fired. And then we can
Okay,
progress.
fine. All right, tomorrow, the guy from the CEO of Madhouse is now fired. He's been replaced. Dream Machine's going ahead. Give me your answer.
I don't want to give an answer. I don't have an answer for you.
Oh,
You could just agree with
you're
me.
no
I mean,
fun.
totally just agree with me.
No, I refuse to answer that.
The thing is, if they want to make the money back, I think that the book is the best way to go.
Yeah.
Plus, it's what a lot of fans want anyway.
Oh, yeah.
I don't really give a shit if the movie comes out or not. I just want to know where he was, what his process was, and it'll make me appreciate his movies that much more.
Well, that does it for the question, guys. Unless, Hickey, you got something to add?
Nope. I don't.
Nope. Alrighty.
Good answer.
Good. Hickey's only got 30 minutes till he has to start talking about psychological things with us. So, let's keep going.
You counting the... Okay, sure. That was a Discord
Thus-
joke, everyone. If you want to know more, just join the Discord and you can look it up.
Yeah,
all inside jokes.
Oh boy.
everything.
Thus begins now.
Das Vidanya.
Are you guys ready for all of Satoshi Kon stuff?
Sure.
Yep.
So we began with Dreaming Machine, the to be announced work, quote unquote. And we're just going to work backwards in time, all the way up until the masterpiece that is Rujin Zed.
Hey,
and we begin in
I like
2006, and we're just going to be doing the heavy hitters, essentially. 2006, Paprika came out.
Yes.
It did.
Yes, it did.
Yes.
Now, do we want any background over Satoshi Kon, or we're just going to talk about his works?
Well, I think it's important to give some background, especially for people who are not familiar with Satoshi Kon and why we need to make an episode solely on him, and if we want to make more more episodes about directors, why he was the first guy to be featured.
Okay. Fair enough. Hickey, do you want to give us a little background over Satoshi Kon?
You ask the guy with a hangover if he wants to read a bunch of text on Wikipedia. Yes, sure. And look at that. My Wikipedia is in Portuguese. Oh, I need to change.
Satoshi Kon was a Japanese director of anime films. He started his career as a manga artist
read the wiki,
and editor in Young Magazine, and then made his screenwriting debut with Magnetic Rose, a section of an anthology of memories. Kon made his directorial debut film, Perfect Blue, one of the most important anime films of all time, mind you, in 1997, followed by Millennium Actress, another really important film. It goes on and on, talking about his directorial works. Basically, he had a strong relationship with Madhouse, as Tori's been talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't have many credited works, but he has a masterful legacy of, 5 directorial works?
Yeah.
While still maintaining a master status as a director.
He's considered
one of the greatest directors of all time.
Important directors in anime, and he's made 5 things. Directed 5 things. And he's so highly regarded that they named the yearly animation awards in Japan after him, the Satoshi Kon Awards. The Satoshi Kon Awards for Best Animation. That should tell you a lot about who this guy was.
It's pretty crazy. He's accredited a lot of his influences.
He is to anime what Stephen King is to novels.
Yeah.
He's particularly on the record with naming a few anime for a lot of his influences, particularly Space Battleship Yamato, Future Boy Conan, Galaxy Express 39, and even the Mobile Suit Gundam series. So if you've noticed, all of those came out in the 70s. And which I think me and Tori in particular have talked about before as well. I mean, we've even done a Gundam cast. I speak highly of Conan. Tori, you just watched Yamato from 1974. It came out, I believe.
Yeah.
And you liked it.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's real good.
We've both watched all of Galaxy Express 39. So and when you think about it, there's a lot of parallels between those series and Kon's future works on what he has done, whether it's techniques, the way a lot of the story progresses. I'm not in the mind of Kon, but
no one is.
You can definitely see the inspiration there.
To quote Kon, no one can what Kon has actually said. This was in reference to a dreaming machine. No one can understand his mind, not even himself. The way stuff works for him is, like he said, he's always been credited with doing great. He has fantastic animation. The way he makes the way he just breathes life onto a canvas is amazing. He's a savant essentially, because he cannot explain to anyone else or even himself how his mind works, how things works in his mind, because he doesn't know. It's just he sits down and he draws and he animates and it comes together.
An important thing of note is most of his works are original, with the exception of a couple of manga that he was the mangaka for.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to adapt other people's work.
No.
I don't know if he's particularly good at it, because we never got to see that. Well, we did, I guess, with Memories, which we did a podcast on.
No, we didn't.
We didn't.
We didn't do Memories. I watched those fucking movies for nothing.
Yes.
What the fuck are you talking about? Like,
You must have, because we have never.
We didn't do
never talked
Magnetic
about...
Road, Cannon Fodder, or
Yeah, never.
we didn't do that.
Then why the hell did I watch those fucking movies with that stupid bullshit?
Well, Magnetic Rose is really good anyway, so who cares?
I don't know.
Which we'll talk briefly about later.
Yep.
When we talk about a lot of the movies in general, you can definitely see repeating themes in which Satoshi Kon constantly hit on, such as bending reality with your mind and psychological aspects. A constant theme of, I don't want to say performance, but it definitely looks like a stage work that's going on screen. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So he has his own. He's known for having his own style that, as Tori said, he can't even explain himself, and that's how prominent he was.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I have to use past tense.
Yep.
He did die of pancreatic cancer during the making of Dreaming Machine.
Back in
Which is why
2010.
Fuck
And-
cancer.
At like, what was it, 46
Very
years old?
unfortunate. You can look up online his last sort of memoir quote that he made, and it's very heartening. It's quite long, but it's any fan of anime should definitely read it
Yeah.
and realize where he was coming from in the heart.
You can tell.
It's some,
You can tell by reading it as well. Like, you can kind of tell. You can see him progressing closer and closer to the end, because it's like it starts with him not joking anything away, but it's like he seems to have a more humorous tone about it, and it's kind of like he's essentially at the stage where he's accepted that this is going to happen, and then after a while he kind of starts degrading, and he gets more shaky, he gets more scared. And I think the thing that broke me the most is that when you realize what he's scared of anymore isn't him dying. He's scared of, leaving the people he care about behind. He's scared and sad about the fact that he couldn't deliver Dreaming Machine to his fans. He goes on to apologize to the fans for not being able to live up to their expectations, which in my opinion is the most, heartbreaking thing of that entire memoir, because like I told Joe this, it was like, that guy has nothing to apologize for to anyone. Everything that guy has put out is a masterpiece.
Yeah, it has a lot to do with the Japanese culture and mindset, and
Oh, yeah.
he definitely showed
like,
that as an example.
Also,
Oh, yeah.
another thing about his death is that he basically hid the disease for everyone. So when he died, everyone was shocked because he died all of a sudden, and then you go and see the memoir where he says, yeah, I had cancer and I was ashamed because of how my body had become, and it's sunk what I'm very ashamed of that. And it is interesting because Kon liked to write about social stigmas a lot, and then you see that there's this thing about disease in Japan, like cancer and stuff like that usually people are embarrassed of having it. And then the guy who always talked about, always wrote about social stigmas, is also representing a social stigma of hiding from the family, from everyone. He had a disease, and he had like half fear of living. Like it is also interesting that he kept being gone until the end.
Yeah. No, I mean,
Yeah.
he didn't keep it, like, it's not like they were shocked that he died, but it's like they didn't find out about it. He didn't go see a doctor, and he hid it from them until it eventually got to the point where people could look at him and tell that he'd lost like a lot of weight, and people told that could see like, you're not well, you need to go to the doctor. And so eventually he did, where he was basically told that you have like a couple months left to live and you're dying. So he basically asked to die at home. And he didn't even want to call his parents because he was ashamed that he was going to die before his parents. So he didn't call his parents until like right before he died.
Yeah, I mean that's a discussion over Japanese stigmas, but Kon was definitely a victim of it.
Yeah.
and he's a victim of himself and the way he saw it. But anyways, that just gives the audience a bit of a background on who Satoshi Kon was, what he meant to the industry, why he's so prominent, and that's why we're going to go into his movies. So in 2006, the movie Paprika came out, and this we're starting with a heavy hitter here. It's arguably his most successful film of all time, and it was his last, unfortunately. He was involved in 2008 with a short film, but we're not going to talk about that. Not too familiar with it. This movie is strange, to say the least. For the Western audience, Hollywood made a movie called Inception, where it's along the lines of the same thing, where there's a group of people. There's a dreaming machine. You're able to see and jump into people's dreams and sort of manipulate their psychology that way. And this is a great example of Satoshi Kon's work at its best, with how reality is bent into the frame of the mind. Let's see here. God, it's so hard to discuss the movie without spoilers per se, but basically the way it begins is...
if you've seen Inception, they share almost an identical premise.
It's not identical, alright?
That's what similar. Almost means, boy. That's really what almost means.
They even ripped off scenes.
Yeah.
No.
Shot.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my god. You guys are awful. We're going to get into another movie, which is a for sure thing.
Do you want to look at the side-by-sides, JD?
Look, I'll get into that in a second, but you guys are wrong. Okay?
Except for the fact that everyone agrees but you, and we're all right. But yeah, I guess so.
No.
Yes.
Fine, we'll go into it right now. They
Okay.
are claiming that the movie Inception with Christopher Nolan ripped off all of Paprika, or at least most of it.
Yes.
There's coincidentally a scene in which
Coincidentally,
the main
there's multiple scenes where they share exactly the same framing and actions.
No, it's
and by
not.
the way, Nolan says he's never seen Paprika, and it was a huge coincidence. What are you gonna tell me next? That fucking Ghost in the Shell wasn't a direct inspiration for fucking The Matrix?
At least they eventually fucking admitted that they had seen it, that they were inspired by it.
They were okay. So the Wachowski brothers are on record with saying, yes, Ghost in the Shell was an inspiration.
Later.
After years of
for the
saying
Matrix.
that
It took them a long time to admit it. So until Christopher Nolan is forced to say, yes, I've seen Paprika, based on his history, I say, yes, he has seen Paprika. He's also seen a lot of other movies. And there are definite... Christopher Nolan is on record with saying he has watched a lot of anime and he references them in his movies. So, did he directly steal Paprika? No. Because the idea of a dream machine going into people's dreams, having a character walk down a hallway and it turn is not a new idea. We've seen that. I saw that in Uritsu Yatsura, A Beautiful Dreamer. We've seen that in a lot of old movies from the 20s. In which there's turning hallways in a person's dream, people walking up to mirrors and them cracking, looking at a reflection of themselves. You see scenes like this in movies constantly. Christopher Nolan's well known for taking many different movies and putting it into his own. The best example was the movie Interstellar, where he directly took inspiration from Voices of a Distant Star, along with 5 other movies. So it is not...
That just makes him a serial offender of plagiarism.
He steals from
many.
He is a serial offender of taking more than one movie to his movies.
The problem is plagiarism and paying homage are entirely different in one regard. That paying homage is paying respect. All right, he has never paid respect to Paprika. He just fucking rips scenes. That's plagiarism. And he stole the entire premise of the scene. He stole the entire premise of the movie. Well, not entirely, but a vast majority of the premise is directly one for one.
The fact that you could jump into a person's mind through a machine is not one for one.
No, but
Okay.
making it a fucking weapon is pretty one for one. The entire point of Inception and Paprika is you can use that for fucking military purpose. You can persuade political opinion based on changing people's mind in dreams.
Until something comes out with
Oh
concrete
god,
evidence
fucking
that this
critically
happened.
think about
No.
this, please.
Fine.
No, you're under the impression of guilty until proven innocent. I'm doing
no, I'm
innocent
actually
until
quite the
proven
opposite.
guilty.
I'm on the side of fucking thinking about things critically and
Oh
coming
my
to your
god,
own
I'm
conclusions.
not having this conversation anymore.
Okay, good job. Push
my
it through.
God.
Let's go.
Well, then you talk about Paprika. Then I'm out. I'm out for Paprika. I'm done.
Oh, good.
Talk about Paprika. Go. Nothing. Fantastic. Very, very mature. Now, Paprika.
After you fucking just up and outed on it, yeah.
Yeah, well, you're the guilty until proven innocent
See,
thing.
you
I
have
take a
no
lot of
argument
offense
for me.
to, all right.
So you have no argument for me. So you're just trying
My
to turn it on
argument
me.
is you're guilty until proven innocent isn't an argument, and the fact that you're saying that the scene with the woman taking her hand
all
to the
six
mirror
of
is
them,
directly
all six
ripped
of the
off
scenes
is
that
not
are directly
true.
one for one.
The turning hallway is not ripped off from Paprika. It's ripped off from other movies.
Okay, and the elevator scene, and anything else you'd like to go on to?
Elevator scene. That's also from another movie.
Okay.
Christopher Nolan's a
So
serial
you're saying
offender.
you're saying he just stole from a bunch of movies, and they just happened to line up with Paprika as well.
Yes.
Do you see how dumb that sounds?
It's not dumb, it's fact. Christopher Nolan did it in Interstellar with Voices of a Distant Star and 2001 Space Odyssey. That's who Christopher Nolan is.
A thief? I guess so.
Yes, he is a thief.
Then fuck him.
God damn it. Ah,
And the reason why he couldn't even fucking make another good movie with his next movie was because he couldn't steal a fucking movie again.
Yep.
well, he made Interstellar. That was his next movie.
Okay, I know he made a movie much later that was fairly recently that was very poorly received.
Yeah, because he doesn't have any original ideas. That's who Christopher Nolan is. Anyways,
A thief, yes.
we're talking about Satoshi Kon. Paprika starts in the future. It's about a psychotherapy treatment. It's a group of people, particularly one scientist and his assistant, a very fat man.
Mm-hmm.
They develop a device called the DC Mini, and it's able to go into people's dreams, and they want to use this for psychotherapy treatment. Well, it ends up being stolen, and by a person who's taken on an existence of a character called Paprika. We don't know who stole it. We don't know what their main intention is for. What we do know is that a person has broken into the DC Mini, into their program, because there was no restrictions on it. The technology wasn't built for those restrictions. So the person who stole it was able to hack into the system and take over anyone's mind who was, let's say, downloaded, per se. And so you're immediately hit with a scene where one of the guys involved in the project all of a sudden starts babbling nonsense. And then he jumps out a window and almost kills himself because his mind was essentially hacked based on what the DC Mini is capable of. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
All while this is going on, a police officer is having recurring dreams. And the whole purpose of this was he was going through a psychotherapy treatment with this existence of Paprika to try and help him figure it out. And it all kind of blends together to an inevitable showdown, you might say, whether it's in their minds, multiple minds, or the blending of reality. Did I lose anyone?
Nope.
No, I'm here.
Okay. So, thoughts over the film?
I like it a lot. I like that psychological kind of bullshit going on. I really like the parade at the end.
Yeah.
Well, there is a massive parade essentially happening all throughout the movie whenever they go in, whenever there's the mind jumping. There's no indication on whose mind you're in. That's kind of the point.
Yeah, because everything has kind of been brought together to one, so it's like...
Right, and that's... Yeah, and you start out in one person's mind, and you can kind of decipher whose it is based on conversations they're having. But the whole purpose of the movie is as the minds are blending together, not even the characters know where they are anymore.
Because the lines are blurred, and eventually, you have that, like, reality-shattering scene where the mirror breaks, and all of a sudden, the dreams are literally appearing in the real world. The real world is becoming dreams. It's like, who even knows what is a dream and what's reality anymore? No one does.
In the immortal words of Biggie Smalls, it was all a dream.
I used to read Word Up magazine.
That's right. Heavy hitters and your boys are on the scene.
Now, the biggest issue the film has is definitely the ending sequence, where now reality is being broken physically. This whole sequence of events didn't make any sense to me, and Satoshi Kon was on record saying that's the point, so, whether I have a problem with it lies with me in itself. But not to say it wasn't incredibly well animated, well done. Somehow it did still all make sense, even though reality was also coming together with the dream world. Hickey, do you have thoughts?
Sorry, I was distracted. Yeah, I think it's a good movie. I think of all Satoshi Kon movies, I think this one might be my favorite. I think it's interesting. It's interesting because you can see what he goes for in Paprika with the real world and some surreal fake world colliding. It doesn't really need to make sense. It wasn't supposed to make. I think it wasn't supposed to make sense. The last scenes, although I would like to explain it if I had rewatched it, and I forgot my arguments to explain the collision between reality and the dream world. But yeah, it is interesting. The premise is very interesting, and also how he takes this premise, which could go anywhere, and do something different with it. Like we said, it's a machine that makes that lets you go inside of someone's mind. You could use that for military purposes. A shitload of purposes. But he goes with this psychiatric treatment, and then there's this one girl named Paprika that is actually using the machine to help people. They aren't inside of the hospital. So yeah, I think it's interesting. I can't say much because I really don't want to spoil. It is highly recommendable. If you've never watched Paprika, you should stop what you're doing and go watch it. And I think basically because if I start explaining too much, I'm gonna give a shitload of spoilers. And
exactly.
The important part watching Kon is not knowing anything, because that's when you realize what you're seeing, what you're watching.
I mean, I kind of disagree with that. I think you get just as much out of the movies rewatching them, even knowing what happens. But yeah, no, I agree. I don't want to talk too much about the movie because, like, again, I don't want to spoil that first moment for people if they don't. If somebody came to me and said, but I want the movie, like, I want to hear everything about the movie, and sure enough, but, unless given express permission to do that, I don't want to ruin the experience for people.
Well, we better not push this forward into the rest of the movies, because, otherwise this entire topic's kind of worthless. We do need to spoil some things to talk about some things in these movies.
Well, I'm strictly speaking about the some particular events in Paprika.
Well, you don't have to give away the ending, but we do need to give away some shit about this movie.
Yes, no, I don't mean to, like, not talk about anything. That's not the point. I mean, like, I don't want to hit on, like we do on a lot of the spoiler segments. We tend to hit on a lot of the fucking everything. Like,
we also have 6 other things to go over.
Let me give you an example of what I said. Like, for example, I would love to talk about the double personality disorder that Kon likes for some reason, and there's this disorder in Paprika, but I can't talk about it because it's a major plot of the movie. You know, I just can't. That's what I was talking about. And everything I want to explain, it is a major spoiler, so I can't talk about it.
Well, you can't.
At least with
we
Paprika.
can talk about how Paprika is a great example of theatrical performance,
Yeah.
and how anytime some major event would happen in the movie, some sort of like almost circus act. You even saw that in the opening segment of the movie with the cop.
Yeah. Literal
with
circus
Paprika
act.
being treated. It was a literal circus act, and that really made a premise throughout the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Anytime a major event happened with another person's dream, this circus act would start happening inside their mind. Because as Kon himself would say, you don't understand he doesn't understand what's inside his own mind, so why would someone else looking at, like me looking at Joe's mind, I understand what he's thinking or dreaming about or what his mindset is.
This is Evangelion all over again. I'm having flashbacks.
I
Yeah.
don't think it's that.
No, I just remember me explaining the last 2 episodes of Evangelion. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, like it is highly theatrical. Kon really likes to blur the line between reality and like a fake world or what is going on inside of someone's mind. And whenever it happens, it's just it's performance. It is, as you said, highly theatrical. There's no other way to explain it. It is very enjoyable as well because it looks like the characters are saying the phrases they're talking directly to you as you're sitting in the theater or sitting in your couch watching the show, whatever it happens. Also, it transitions very well. So when it's not jarring, like a spotlight appears and the character just start talking with the public. Nothing like that. It is a smooth transition, and when you see you already caught on in the performance.
Well, the entire dream sequences are to basically portray how people act when they don't have the borders of society. So it's how they actually feel. That's why everything that happens in the dreams is so outlandish, because it's how they feel, how they think.
Yeah.
And like JD was saying, like Hickey said in the past, it's about how you feel when no one else is around that defines who you are as a person, not how you act when everyone's there watching you.
Mhm.
Because, like the old saying goes, you don't learn how to act, you learn how to act around people.
Yeah, but it
And
is
basically,
interesting.
those dream
because-
sequences are about how you act, not how you act when people are watching.
Yeah, like starting with Paprika, that we have dream sequences are very good to explain how Satoshi Kon movies work, because it is, I think, the most obvious one to talk about because we're talking about dreams, and we're gonna see that on Perfect Blue, we're gonna see that on Tokyo Godfathers, we're gonna see that even in Road in Z, although he's just involved with some art, some frames and stuff like that. But when he directs, he has this thing about blurring the line, and Paprika is the best one to see how his takes on psychological problems, the human psyche, the fake words or dream words and reality, how he manages this dynamic, because he went kind of all out. He made very obvious in Paprika.
It's definitely, if not his most confusing work that he's done or did, is how you should probably refer to it. But anyways, I have nothing more to say over Paprika, other than the fact that, according to Mal, it's his only work that has over 100,000 members.
I mean, it's
Which
nothing.
is very sad, because it's far from his best work.
Yeah.
So it's clear to me that, at least using that sort of data point, is people in the West don't watch Satoshi Kon.
They don't. And it's sad.
Yeah.
Just don't watch it.
Satoshi Kon has kind of fallen, in my opinion, he's fallen into this trap where he's, he is considered by many to be like the most overrated amongst the overrated directors, which is sad. The reason for this is because he is so highly regarded in just the anime industry in general, and people see that and they see people recommend it. They're like, "Oh my god, he's so overrated." Damn it.
To be fair, the number 3 greatest series of all time only has 179, so 180,000 members have rated number 3. Mal is a big community, but it's not a good sample size.
I'm not talking about Mal in general. I'm not talking about Mal. I'm talking just like in general. The amount of people I've talked to that just say that they don't ever want to see anything Satoshi Kon, it makes me sad. Because a lot of people seem to have this idea that if they, like, because of everything they've heard of Satoshi Kon, if they've even heard of him, like, they feel like that will basically ruin all experiences. They feel like they can't enjoy anything Satoshi Kon has done because he's so overhyped.
Using the 100, I like to use the 100,000. If something's very popular and successful, it should hit the 100,000 mark. And the fact that Satoshi Kon, one of the greatest anime directors of all time, for an anime community to not all have seen at least more than one work to that amount it just tells me that people just don't watch it. Period.
I think the data point says something to the fact that I believe it's the average anime fan is only around for 2 or 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that would
maybe if they watch more Satoshi Kon, they would stick around longer.
Probably, but they're too busy with the bullshit that gets released every season.
Oh
boy, more fucking
Konans.
Black Clover. Yeah, great.
Yep.
More fucking bullshit. Oh, look, another key series. Oh boy, garbage.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
I think it's time to move on to his next work.
Yep.
Which was in 2004, his only series that he ever directed, which is called Paranoia Agent.
Woo!
Yeah.
His worst work is still like a 7.
Yeah, it's actually incredible. Like, in my opinion, fucking Paranoia Agent is like I told Joe. Paranoia Agent to me is a series that feels like it essentially got production committed at around the halfway point towards the end. It's not necessarily that it got bad, but it didn't so much feel like Satoshi Kon anymore as it felt like somebody, trying to steer Satoshi Kon into doing.
Well, it did run into some issues, and this is probably why Kon never directed another series after this.
No,
but it definitely had Kon's influence on it.
Paranoia Agent wasn't even. He's never had. Well, he's not never had an interest. Satoshi Kon had always wanted to make a TV series or something that didn't take years and years of planning, because he kind of wanted like that real-time feedback, or more of a real-time feedback, which is why he lent towards a TV production rather than a movie. And but basically, Paranoia Agent is a bunch of ideas Satoshi Kon has had over the years that didn't fit into any of his movies, that he decided to try to put together and make it into a TV series.
It's a really neat series. So for those not anything Kon has done except Perfect Blue was by Madhouse, I believe, or at least owned by Madhouse. Perfect Blue is not owned by Madhouse anymore.
Okay.
Anyways, Paranoia Agent focuses around a number of individuals, and they all have their own psychological problems. Running around the city is a boy on rollerblades carrying a bat, and he basically beats people over the head with it, and that's the simplistic premise to it.
Perfect Blue is a Madhouse series.
Perfect Blue is a Madhouse series.
It's not owned by Madhouse anymore, though.
Yeah, but they're still the studio.
They made it.
They still made it.
He worked.
Okay.
Remember, he worked at Madhouse, Satoshi Kon.
Yeah.
So you're introduced to a number of these people, and as the show progresses, so do the psychological effects to their mind. For example, the quote-unquote main girl she creates a very popular character, and there's a plushie, and as more and more pressure is put on her to develop a new character, she starts going through mental anguishes. She starts seeing her own character come to life, and it's like talking to her, and as the pressure surmounts, she goes through more issues, and then Shonen Bat, the little slugger, as known in English, comes over, hits her over the head. Now she has an out for her issues. Oh, I don't need to create a character anymore because I was hit. I'm a victim. Basically, all the people end up becoming a victim, and they almost want to be a victim to get them out of their own problems. And the idea behind Shonen Bat becomes a city problem. And it to me, it reflects on how if one idea, it's how an idea can come to life. And that's how it progresses throughout the show.
Okay.
All right, so Tori and I were having a talk about Shonen Bat probably, 2 weeks ago, a week ago, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
And it was basically to the point of Tori saw it as
I saw it
people
as
putting pressure as...
Yeah, I saw it as I saw it as society's pressure, or people putting pressure on others, society's pressure on people that eventually drives them, to not lose grip on reality and essentially drive them to self-harm and even suicide. That was the way I saw Shonen Bat.
Whereas the way I saw it, and we had this conversation, was literally the harm that society puts on people. So, for instance, Shonen Bat isn't the person hurting themselves, it's what society has done to that person. You've beat them down to that low. I think you described it a little differently, but basically you get the same point across.
Yeah.
Whereas it's not someone self-harming themselves, it's the society that's put so much stress on them that they have broken.
Yeah.
So you have the physical reflex of getting, hit with a bat, and I do think it was funny that you went with they have an out, because it's a bat.
It's good,
You
right?
miss, it's an out, yeah.
No, that was on purpose.
I figured.
Good.
I wanted to call it out just in case anyone doesn't watch baseball.
I don't.
No, I don't.
Good job. Yeah, let's keep it that way.
I plan to.
But it's not based on the person hurting themselves. It's based on society putting so much pressure on them that either they mentally snap, or like Tori said, they do hurt themselves.
Yeah.
Because I don't.
No,
Well, there's I feel the best character example of that was the was the kid in elementary school, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Where, if I remember correctly, basically one of the kids in class, something happens to him. All right, he starts garnering all the attention away from him because this kid wants the attention. He's the most important person in his life.
He's the cool kid who everybody
He's
looks
the
up
cool
to.
kid, right? And when he starts losing that societal status, even in elementary school, he falls to the pressure. So then he turns to this idea that Shonen Bat, Little Slugger, is going to come and solve his problem. Or he was the problem to begin with. What can happen? And as Joe said, and Tori, you said, the pressure that surmounts is like he puts it on himself, but that classroom environment. I mean, we've all been there where your peers, the way they look at you, matter to you, especially when you're in school.
Yeah, I think the way me and Joe look at this is very much, in many regards, the same. It's just we have a different outlook on how what the end result of that is. Like I said, I think it leads to self-harm or even suicide. That's what, in the case of the Shonen Bat, copycat. I think,
Right.
that's where I get... But I understand, when I was having this discussion with Senpai, I wasn't finished with the series yet. And I kind of see where he came from. For me, it was the episode with the girl the woman who wanted to who tried to talk to the other wives in the neighborhood, and they were telling stories, and she tried to fill in. Eventually she comes back home, and she finds her husband having been attacked, and he needs help. But rather than sending help, as she's been spending the entire episode talking to these people about random stuff and getting called out for it. So now when she gets home and she sees him attacked and he's in bloody mess and he's just asking help, call for an ambulance, and she just runs. Rather than do that, she runs up to him and asks him, how did you get attacked by Shonen Bat? How did you get attacked? Tell me all the story. Literally, like, it's psychotic. So that's kind of where I see where Senpai's coming from, because that's obviously the deviation from my own story or from my own perspective of things.
Mm.
But even still, it didn't change my overall impression of it, because I feel like they technically, like all of these explanations, they fit, because no two cases that necessarily has to be the same. And that's the beauty of it. Like while obviously the lingering thing is always pressure put on you by other people, pressure put on you by society. The end result doesn't necessarily have to be the same for every case, which is nice.
Hickey, you've been pretty silent. Any
Yeah,
thoughts?
well, I'm listening to you guys because it's interesting
Okay.
to listen. Yeah, I like it. Although there's a couple of problems. Production, I really like it because it is something I find it interesting to the psychological point of view, because we're talking about collective consciousnesses. Because
Yep.
one person starts saying she was hit with by the shonen bat. A little kid with a bat came and hit her in the head, and then another person, and that leads to not only that collective consciousness where people are spoilers, but people
Not really.
people start talking about that shonen bat, and then that leads to mass hysteria. People want the shonen bat to appear, and if when he appears, everyone freaks out, and then people want to know because they also want to be a victim of shonen bat. And it is if I can put it, it's something that you don't see very much in anime. The only other anime I saw that was like that was Jigoku Shoujo or Hellgirl. It is a valid example.
No, I didn't say that.
Yeah, especially the second season. The second season of Hellgirl is pretty much mass hysteria and that collective unconsciousness or consciousness. So yeah, I think it is very important. Although I think it is on the weak side of Satoshi Kon works, I still think it is quite good. I mean, it's Satoshi Kon, of course it will be good. But hey,
Yeah.
When his weakest series is above average, that really does tell you all you really need to know.
Yep.
yeah, true.
What I think is very, very interesting. I don't know if this was something that ever was ever meant to be, or if it's just coincidence. But one thing, like, if it's related to the series at all and his ideas behind it. But what I found very interesting is back in the 80s in Japan, there was this string of crime that happened. This happened especially to children. And there were these criminals that were essentially, poisoning food and whatnot, candy, and giving poisoning candy and stuff in stores in Japan. And kids obviously bought that and ate it, and they either died or they got seriously injured or sick or whatever. And this was obviously a cause of mass hysteria in Japan, because they were I don't remember the exact name now. There were some 21 skins or something. I don't remember. Something along those lines, because these were assumed a bunch of people, because they've never been arrested. They've never been caught. They've never been seen. They were invisible villains. So it's like they were obviously the talk of the town. Everyone was talking about these guys that were causing harm to society. But no one knew who they were, where they come from, who does it, how do they do it. They've never been spotted. They've never been caught. So that's learning that, I kind of started to wonder. I wonder if that's like where Satoshi Kon got the general idea for like the Shonen Bat and the Master Stair was like it's something that it's somebody that has been described as a because they can describe it in the same way that they could describe these people, but no one's actually ever seen them or seen these people. Are they real? So it's like I feel like that's kind of a parallel I draw to Shonen Bat. It's like he's the talk of the town. Everyone knows him. Everyone knows that he's dangerous. No one's seen him. He doesn't exist to anyone except for the people that has been attacked. It's like so that's kind of, but again, like that's just speculation. I don't know if they're actually related, if that's what Satoshi Kon was going for. But I feel like that's like an interesting story to tell on top of that, because there are parallels between these stories.
This series by itself gave me a lot of, and I saw a lot of parallels to Twilight Zone episodes. Whenever they focused on something psychological. I've seen quite a few Alfred Hitchcock movies, Wes Craven works, where it, being that that's more horror, it's crazy to see a lot of, whether it be action scene parallels or even just straight ideas. Kon took them in a way and molded them together to make Paranoia Agent.
Well, isn't Paranoia Agent just a string of his random thoughts from movies that weren't really fully fleshed out?
Yeah, like ideas that he couldn't put into other movies.
Basically,
right? They just weren't long enough. That's that's why
the
it seemed like almost like
strong enough. Yeah,
it almost seemed like a series of the Twilight Zone, but in Satoshi Kon's view.
Yep,
I can see that.
Yeah,
oh, my phone fell.
I don't think it's his weakest work.
I agree.
I think his weakest work is actually the next one that we're going to discuss, which is Tokyo Godfathers.
Really?
Yeah. Tokyo Godfathers came out in 2003.
Yes.
It is about
it's
three
a nice
homeless
Christmas
people.
Story.
Yeah, yay! Christmas is coming.
Christmas, yay!
It's like the only movie anyone recommends to watch for Christmas. I say don't.
I mean,
watch Paranoia Agent.
You can watch. You can watch it
Itsudate
whatever.
my Santa.
Itsudate my Santa, indeed.
So it's about three homeless people that find a baby in a dump, and for some reason they have this idea that they want to find the baby's parents, or at least show up on their doorstep and be like, "Why'd you throw the baby away?" And over the course of events, they get entangled into just these wacky hijinks. There's a random kidnapping. There's a death, and then I guess there's a red envelope. But among the baby, they find a slew of belongings, and they're trying to essentially almost like solve a puzzle. But as bad as it is, I mean, the best moment in the movie is when they have keys, and they find a house and they just kind of enter the door and they're like, "I'm home." You guys remember that scene?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. My opinion is it's the weakest work because it's the least psychological, even though it hits along a lot of the same themes, such as performance and people confronting themselves, essentially. Because it basically goes along the three homeless people and kind of going over their pasts, accepting themselves, and wanting more that the future has to offer. That's my take on it.
Ironically, Tokyo Godfathers is actually loosely based on a Peter Kine novel, Three Godfathers, as you might
I've
guess.
never heard of it.
Yeah,
it's from 1913 or something.
There you go.
It's very loose base, so I guess that does kind of fall into the when he doesn't do his own work, it's a little weaker. But
I disagree.
I really like Tokyo Godfathers. I think it was a really nice story. I don't think it was his best work, but I don't think it could possibly top Paranoia Agent as his weakest.
I think for me, Tokyo Godfathers is actually one of my favorites of Satoshi Kon. It's not my favorite. It's not the best, but it is one that I enjoyed.
It's not Perfect Blue.
But I did enjoy it like quite a lot because I don't know. I kind of like just seeing these. Like it was different from Satoshi Kon's other works. I like seeing these, essentially. Well, I mean, I would like to call them outcasts of society because in some ways they are. But I mean, you also have the girl who kind of just ran away. But like they all have their own issues. They all have their own troubles troubles which are hidden, which will obviously come forward along the movie. Some of them easier to understand than others, like the transvestite. That's kind of on the open right from the get go, but that's fine. Right?
Yeah, there's a line right at the beginning with the transvestite where they're getting they're in line for the homeless shelter's soup.
Yep.
And she goes, "I'm eating for two because it's a Christmas miracle. I'm gonna be the Virgin Mary. I'm gonna be a mother."
Yeah.
And the woman's just like looking at her, going, "Huh?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nah. But that's, I mean, like it had a breath of fresh air, like from a lot of Satoshi Kon's other works, and just kind of that, the idea that okay, it's Christmas, we want to do something nice. Let's find this baby's parents, and then they get out off on wacky adventures, and they get to see not just confront their own situations and their own lives, but they get put in a lot of situations revolving other people. And you kind of let's put it this way: Christmas obviously has this view of like a nice, happy time with your family and loved ones, but you also get to see a lot of people that do not have that like you have it that way at all. People that still have to deal with their own lives and their own shit going on during Christmas, because for some people Christmas isn't a break or time off. Some people have very real problems to deal with even on Christmas. And even the twist at the end, I really liked, and I'm not going to say what it is.
Like I like Tokyo Godfathers because it is like Tori said, it is different from all the Satoshi Kon things, especially because you can see his sense of humor.
Yeah.
There's a lot of phrases and that's very funny, and also it is, I think, the work he's done with the most social stigmas in it. We have homeless people, and homeless people in Japan, they're different from homeless people in the West. They're very different, especially because of tradition. It is a Christmas miracle story on a country that is not a Christian country, and of course, you have
Are they essentially a nothing country?
Yeah, the most
like they're not even Taoist.
Yeah, like the most Christian person in the movie is a homosexual, that kind of things. Yeah, you have AIDS. They talk about AIDS. They talk about illegal immigrants. I think they were Colombian.
Prostitution.
I think they were
Yakuza.
Colombian. Yes.
Loan sharks. And for example, the guy. This is not about the show. It's just an information. For example, the Oji-san, the old guy. In Japan, they have programs and places for homeless people. They give you money if you can support yourself. You just register yourself and you get money from the government. But he had debts, and people with debts, usually they don't make that kind of thing because there's a lot of corruption in Japan, and there's a lot of corruption going on with the Yakuza in Japan. And sometimes, like, if he's fleeing, he's trying to get away from a debt, if he goes and give his name and where he is, the Yakuza might come and take him. That's why he live as a homeless person. Most of homeless people are in that situation. They took money for loan sharks and Yakuza. They couldn't pay. They fled. They started being homeless. And they can go to the government because they will get found. Also, runaway people. It also has the clean, how can I put it? The clean squad, the little, like the teenagers that go and beat up homeless people. We saw that in Inuyashiki recently. This is something that happens in Japan. Although we don't see a lot of psychological things, we have those stigmas.
And the reason why they can do that as well, like go out and beat homeless people, is because, unlike, let's say, the US, the homeless people in Japan don't just lay on the street. They hide away.
Yeah, because this is because the West, Europe, and some countries of Asia and Africa, we have a Christian tradition. And Christian tradition says we need to help each other. Although I think there's a huge misconception about what helping means, and I don't think Christ was talking about you need to devote yourself by helping and giving some things to people. I think he was talking more about giving them conditions to be equal to you, not actually giving stuff for them. But we are not talking about talking about how to interpret teachings for 2,000 years ago. You're not encouraged to give to homeless people, and homeless people do not beg. They will never beg. They will only beg if they really need you, because it's a shame. It's preferable to kill yourself than beg in Japan. Also,
Good.
Japan has a huge thing about mentally ill people. It's not like the West. The West, like, you can put someone in a hospital forever. In Japan, they do it. So most of homeless people in the West have mental problems. In Japan, you don't see a lot of that. Also, because they have, most of them not only have the mental problem, but also use drugs, heavy drugs. In the United States, it's heroin. Heroin is a big problem. Here, it's crack. Crack destroys. We have like zombies going through streets because of that. In Japan, they also don't
And
use
in Russia,
those
it's
drugs.
crocodile.
Yeah, Russian is crocodile. And in Japan, you don't see a lot of that. So they are very different. They're very different homeless people, So, but they still are a stigma. They go into a train and everyone starts saying they smell bad, and telling them to go out of the train or go out of a store. When they go buy things, people go, "You're buying things? What the fuck? What is happening?" And they're like, "Yes, I'm not going to your trash can and look up food." The other thing, they also, like I said, they also talk
You're
about
buying water?
yeah, they also talk about
But the
AIDS.
tap water's perfect.
Yeah, AIDS, prostitution, suicide, kidnapped, things like that. Also, how you choose to live your life will affect you in the future. We see that, but and all in that concept, all in that plot of a Christmas story with Christmas miracles. Also, my favorite part of the show is when the transvestite in a angel suit comes through the guy beat up. Do you want a wish or an ambulance? That was so funny.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have much else to say over Tokyo Godfathers.
I just think it's a nice Christmas movie. If you want a Christmas movie, watch that. If not, there are better Satoshi Kon works.
There are. But I'd say watch it anyways. It's good.
See,
you don't even have to watch it on Christmas.
I see actually the next movie is a better Christmas movie than Tokyo Godfathers.
Okay.
And that is Millennium Actress.
Die Hard, right?
Die Hard, yeah. Got it.
Speaking of Satoshi Kon, no. Millennium Actress came out in 2001. So there was finally a little bit of gap in Satoshi Kon.
Mm-hmm.
So, this focuses on a reporter and his assistant. They're doing essentially a documentary over a very famous actress named Chiyoko. And as far as I can tell, she wasn't interviewed or anything. She's pretty much been in seclusion for decades. Am I right, Hickey?
Yeah. Yes. She is. She stopped working and then, entered reclusion. And this guy, I forgot his name. I think is Genya.
Genya.
He has a movie production, a production office, and he gets the chance of interviewing this actress, and it is his favorite actress of all time. So it goes him and the cameraman who really doesn't give a shit about her. They go to the secluded home and talk about her career and her life. And what happens is that you discover that her movies are very similar to her life, and how she lived her life, why she started doing movies, why she became an actress, things like that. To a very interesting twist at the end as well.
Yeah,
it's
stuff.
excellent.
It's
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Yeah, go for it, Tori.
The Millennium Actress is probably for me the best example of Satoshi Kon and his how good he is at just blending surrealism and realism into
plus the comedy,
like, the
plus
biggest
his comedy
the
sense.
but like blending surrealism and realism into like the biggest, like, well, of course it should be like this, because essentially what happens is, while the movies parallel this actress' life in many regards, the interviewers are also in the movies. Now they're literally acting out in the movie, and where it could be anything from them just running after her with a camera to them literally being in the movie themselves. And I thought that was just like so masterfully done, because it doesn't feel as weird as it should be. It feels natural almost.
Yeah, it feels like when we're talking about anime just like that, and we are imagining the anime, those kind of things. It's the same thing. It's very simple. Although those illusions were actually happening in the reality, Paprika style, because the cameraman seems very confused to why the fuck they're in a castle all of a sudden and then in a prison, and that kind of thing. So it is highly interesting because it is simple. It is a simple Satoshi Kon movie to understand. It is the same thing when you talk to your friends about an anime, about a movie, about a series, and you start acting out the scenes and saying phrases, saying some dialogues and things like that. The fun part of this movie, the interesting part of this movie is how her career and her life they are parallel.
Yeah.
Joe, any thoughts on Millennium Actress?
It's been a long time since I've seen it, but basically what I have to say is this seems to be a story about someone who's very good at telling stories. So, like, for instance, your actress is talking to the interviewer, but instead of her just, recounting her ideas about what was going on during these movies, she's telling the interviewer the story, and she's telling him so articulately and well that the interviewer feels as though they were there. It's like someone who's well spoken doing an interview, as opposed to just someone who's like, well, then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. You're kind of trying to inject emotion, what was going on when this was happening, how I felt about it, how the person across me, I think, felt. It was very well directed, well choreographed, but it is very interesting to note that it cost about 1.2 million USD to make and only made $34,000
That is sad. That is
at box
very
office.
Sad.
Yeah, it's a real shame.
That's really sad, honestly.
That kind of goes in line with Satoshi Kon and his films. Actually, they just didn't make money.
Well, again, that
his most successful is Paprika, and I don't think it turned a profit either.
Yeah, but that's the problem, right? Because we've talked about this before. People
Well,
ask,
the problem is box office, because these things make money at BD sales.
Yeah, no, but
I still don't think it made enough, though.
He's never been a commercially successful director, and that's the problem is, again, not even that he's a bad director or that he doesn't know what he's doing or that people don't like watching good directors' movies, but the problem is that he likes doing, like we was already established, he likes doing original. And if there's one thing Japan has proven time and time again, they don't like original. They want something that they know. That's why they keep going for manga, light novels, games, because people know this. They want stories based on something they already experienced. It's why recap movies does better than almost any other form of anime movie. Because they know the story already. They just want to see it again. And in theaters this time.
It's very strange. This movie took a lot of homage to a lot of past early 1900s and 20 ideas. Kon was on record saying he took a lot of inspiration from those works to mold them together. And you can see definitely a lot of the ideas there with how, you know, there was a war movie, there was a romance movie, there was a space movie that looked exactly like something out of Star Trek in the 80s and 2001 Space Odyssey. But that was the whole idea behind the film, because it was about a filmmaker and actress. It's very well done. I love the fact that even though it was a recounting of her life and how the movies ran parallel to it, I loved how there was a constant conflict that was eating at her, and that was the whole point is she falls in love with a man, and she loses sight of him, and she spends the rest of her acting career looking for this man.
Yeah. And even with this movie, I just love the attention to details, even the tiniest things, right? Because you can gather so much from the movies that she's in. But even in my opinion, like, this is, you know, while they don't necessarily directly explain how this man got to interview this woman this woman who's been out of media attention for decades. What I like is eventually you reach this point.
Few things.
Well, yeah, but eventually you reach this point where you realize that this guy, like this guy who's interviewing her, he studied like movies and whatnot. He wanted to work on a movie set, and he did that for one of her movies. Way back, he was taken in as an apprentice. Way back in the day.
Yep.
And it's like, it's just the tiniest little details that you normally don't think are that important. They were still flashed out. And that's what I appreciate.
It even paralleled our real world with everything.
Yeah.
Real life events. You know, they go over things like World War I and II. They go over, I think it was Vietnam even.
Mm-hmm.
They even touched on that. I believe. I could be mistaken on that one. But even all the conflicts like happening in the real world, it affected their lives in the show. The greatest feeling, at least I felt, and Hickey, you were talking about it, is because of the storytelling aspect and who was telling the story. I personally can't relate to grandparents, say, telling a story, but I can relate to just family members telling stories, and you want to feel like you're there, and it brings so much nostalgia to that. And again, that's why I think this is a much better Christmas movie than Tokyo Godfathers, because that's what the time of year is supposed to be, is with family and recounting events, and that's what this movie is.
Yeah, no, I can relate to the series because my grandfather is 1 year younger than Choco. So I have a shitload of stories of the same time frame. The same. So like I can, you know, the movie is already paralleling real world with her story and then the movies, but also I could also parallel my grandfather's stories. When he went, or like when he was in the countryside, when he was chosen to serve the military during World War II. Although he didn't went to Europe, he was in the army during the World War II. After that, when he came...
How old is your grandfather currently?
93. 93.
My grandfather's that old as well.
Yeah.
72.
72.
Yeah, my dad turned 70 in February, so...
That's all
I have old parents.
At the end of the movie, the main character, Choco, reminded me of my grandmother, but I can't talk about it because it is a spoiler and I might cry. I won't, but I might.
Ah.
So really.
Yeah.
Really.
I won't, however, I might.
it was basically the same
Yeah,
thing.
the best I've gotten.
Yeah, no, I have the same kind of a case as well, because like, again, I could relate to that. You know, having grandparents, especially close grandparents. I mean, they live right next door. You know, I've basically been brought up on their stories as well, so it was kind of like, well, I'm gonna be rude to my grandparents to say it was like listening to their stories, except way more interesting. But yeah, no, like it definitely did parallel that for me. It's like, you know, essentially, you know, it's like sitting down with your grandparents, just having them tell you a story of the good old days. It's like, yeah, I like that.
It's good. It's a good movie.
Yeah, it is.
Anything else over Millennium Actress?
Not
Good movie,
particularly.
watch it.
It's a good movie. Watch every Satoshi Kon work.
Yep.
Everything he directed, just watch it.
Even
So
stuff
now-
he didn't direct.
Now we're at a heavy hitter, guys.
Let's
Arguably
go.
his best work. I don't think it's close, honestly.
I don't think it's a contest if we're going
Yeah.
into 1997's Perfect Blue.
Joe, take it away.
Perfect Blue?
Perfect Blue.
It's an idol story, essentially, that mimics, it mimics the tried old tale of, idolizing someone who's an idol, making them into a godlike persona, fetishizing them. But instead of being the normal where you're the scumbag in the situation, now you're following the idol. You're following the person that you're turning into a god or whatever. As for the story, I would rather everyone just watch the series or the movie, because it's probably one of the most important, best anime movies of all time. Let's see if I can get a proper synopsis for you guys. Come on.
Well, before you go over that, I'd like to go over a little history of how much the movie has impacted. And the best example of this is the director and writer Darren Aronofsky.
Oh yeah, he bought the
he
rights
loved
just so he could
perfect-
steal the scenes.
No, well, exactly. This is a pure example of a guy who loved Perfect Blue and Kon so much that he bought the rights to it just so, and he was I think it was his, I couldn't find an exact quote, but from his producer, he goes, Aronofsky was apparently too lazy to come up with an original character's name, or even the story, or even scenes. At best, all he could do was change Mima, which is the main character in Perfect Blue, to name Nina in Black Swan.
Yeah.
Yeah. He
And
just changed it from the idol.
Darren Aronofsky was on record saying he loved Perfect Blue so much he wanted it as his own, and wanted to use all of his favorite things in a movie of his own making. Was the movie my own making? No, I did take things out of other movies, and I'm well aware that that is stealing technically. But I do own the rights, so I'm not actually stealing it. I own it now.
The power of money.
Well,
Just a big fuck
my-
you all.
my issue there is that
I hope you can look at Black Swan as still an objectively good movie.
No.
And please be aware that there are things that I took from a movie that is arguably better than one that I've made of myself. So there you go.
No, but like,
Arguably, huh?
I think again, this is in my opinion, like, you know, just showing somebody's ego trip. Like, and it kind of comes across that he loved something so much he wanted it for himself. That pretty much just sums that up for.
Can you
that
guess
up
what
entirely
character
for me.
he is in Perfect Blue?
No.
Yes.
The
Oh,
guy with
you
the
can.
borderline syndrome. Yes.
yeah. No, that is fucking perfect. No, I mean, I think it's
Now if only we could get Christopher Nolan to be as admitative, then people wouldn't hate him as much.
I think that is.
Fuck him.
I think it's honestly kind of disgusting that he would do that, and especially one of the things that annoy me the most is if you go online and you look at film critics. People know because of because of obviously admitting that this is essentially just him ripping off Perfect Blue. There's a lot of critics that are now aware of Perfect Blue. However, the popular thing to do now for critics is to slam Perfect Blue for a bad movie while raising Black Swan up as one of the greatest. I think that
I'm
is
not denying
sad.
Black Swan was a good movie. I really enjoyed it.
Well, of course. It is a fucking Perfect Blue ripoff. Of
Yeah,
It's fucking Perfect Blue.
that is the problem, right? That is essentially the problem, because what they're doing is they're essentially doing that thing where it's like, we need to press this thing that it's essentially copying down into the dirt to show that this is not good. This is the real version, the live action version, the Hollywood version.
This is
our
the
version.
intended version.
Yeah. This
The
is
intended version of all manga is anime.
You could, or you could look at it the way I do. This is Perfect Blue in a live action adaptation.
Yeah, no, but that's what I do. But the problem is, I see this time and time again. You go and look up film critics when they review Perfect Blue. They hate it every time, without a fail. They fucking
Yeah,
hate
that
it.
doesn't make
And then
any
you go
sense
and
to
scroll
me.
down and you look at their review of Black Swan. They love it. It's perfect. Fucking love it. It's the best. It's like, well, it's the same thing. Why do you hate one and love the other?
So
Well,
some
that's just
scenes that are taken straight out of Perfect Blue that were put in Black Swan is the picture scene where they see the obsessed fan, quote unquote fan,
Now, if
with a bunch of the person's pictures put up on a wall in almost the exact same choreography of
if
where
I
they
remember
are placed.
correctly, the reason why he actually bought the rights to Perfect Blue was because of the bath scene. It is
Well, he
framed
had
the
to.
same. It
He
is
had
framed
to.
the same. The same thing happened. Like, everything about that scene was nearly one for one, frame for frame, identical. And he had to buy the rights to put
also
that scene in the
the-
movie.
Also, the bedroom scene, the bathtub scene, the constant acknowledgement of essentially angels' wings,
Mhm.
where the characters would spread their arms out, and even scenes where characters are constantly look at each other in the mirror of blending reality and who they are. Every single aspect about those scenes were taken from Perfect Blue.
But one thing they did not do was showcase exactly how, or in my opinion, in as good a fashion as Satoshi Kon could do with Perfect Blue, was show the main characters how she's slowly losing grip on reality and going insane. Because if you notice in the movie, one thing that is very prominent in that movie, or at least will become, is the color red. However, at first you barely see any red. Eventually you start to see stuff like her fridge is red and a couple of red dots in the background and stuff like that. But the more fucked up she gets, the further down the rabbit hole you go, the more the scene gets dominated by the color red. I think that is fucking great. Really shows.
I
where she is.
actually wish Satoshi Kon kept up this ideal and instead of blending reality and psychological aspects, I think he got way too anime-fied, to use a not word. You know what I mean? Because this
Can
felt
I have
very
it on a
realistic.
phrase, please?
Sure.
Okay.
He became too anime.
Oh, come on, a better phrase?
stopped.
No.
He's he stopped doing what he wanted and started pandering more towards the industry.
I see.
I think that's what happened, and unfortunately, I think
Perfect
that's what he
Blue?
needed
Why?
to do. No,
After
not
Perfect
in
Blue.
Perfect Blue.
Oh,
I
okay.
wish he kept what he did in Perfect Blue and
In
used
the
it
other
throughout
ones, okay.
Because as he went on, I thought he digressed more towards the industry than himself.
I don't agree.
You know, I think his post works are more like it's more his way of thinking, like his way of doing things than Perfect Blue is amazing. It is amazing.
Yep.
Yes. Yes, it is.
But like
I think it's a masterpiece.
yeah. A masterpiece, I think it's a little bit of a stretch. Well, I mean, the guy's dead, so I guess you can use masterpiece.
They have to die.
Of course, they have to
Well, it
die.
has to be their best work.
Masterpiece is the magnus opus. You can have your magnus
Well,
opus.
Satoshi Kon does have a magnum opus. It's called Opus.
Yeah, no,
It's a manga.
no, come on. Okay,
The manga opus.
The magnum
The manga
opus.
but I think like the post 1997 works are more like his thing. It's more comical. It's more blending reality in a more comical way. Though Perfect Blue is more. It's not more about blending fiction with reality. It's more about, how can I explain it? It's more about a fake perception of reality. It's more about that. It's him developing that thing for psychological drama and a lot of heavy stuff, heavy stuff, but it is not still it's still not as that blending reality with a fantasy kind of world, but the character having a fake perception of reality.
Yeah,
And there's this salad.
essentially, or at least her idea of reality gets warped very much. But like, I mean, the reason why I disagree with you, JD, is because I don't think that he got more like, I need geared towards the anime industry and like wanted to necessarily appease the fans. I mean, obviously he does. That's essentially what everyone does. But like, in my opinion, what I think though was with Satoshi Kon, why I love him so much is because he didn't, while obviously based on the same ideas and a lot, like most of the times, like his love for blending surrealism and realism, he never really made the same movie again. And I think that's one. I think that is one of the strengths and clear, like in my opinion, what he wanted, because he didn't want to make let's pull the joke. Makoto Shinkai. That guy keeps making the same movie again and again and again until he makes the perfect version of the movie he wants to make.
And then he makes another one, but worse this time. Looking at you, your name.
Hey,
But Satoshi
Get at me.
Kon.
Hi.
I like
Satoshi Kon,
your name.
He
Fuck
made
you.
yeah. But
No
Satoshi Kon,
garden of
he
words.
makes different movies
It is the best.
every time.
Eh.
While it still uses a lot of the same ideas, obviously, the way the story is told, the way the story in general changes, because he doesn't want to make the same. He didn't want to make a bunch of Perfect Blues, because
I wish he did.
I mean I wish he did too, because Perfect Blue is fucking amazing. But I can still respect his desire to not just want to fall into the trap of making the same thing over and over again until he perfects it. Kind of hard. He already made Perfect Blue, but
Yeah, he already
He
made
didn't have to make it again. He already perfected it.
Well, so would you rather he made one movie and quit?
It shouldn't have been called Perfect Blue. It should have been called Perfect Anime.
It should have just been called Perfect.
Perfect.
Fucking phenomenal. This should have been the entire name.
The cover should have been him just dropping the mic.
Him with two fists up. I am the Master Commander!
Oh god. And not even
Fuck
Perfect
you,
Blue has
Miyazaki!
passed 100,000 users on Mal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's at 89,000, something like that.
84.
Not high enough.
Shame.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone should watch Perfect Blue. I don't care who you are.
Yeah, especially you. That's right, you. That's right, Justin. I hear you listening to this. Watch
A
Perfect
guy
Blue.
named just some random guy named Justin. You calling out?
Yeah.
All right, I'll call out Paul and other American names. You know what? I'll call out Tori. I'm sure there's more Norwegians named Tori out there.
Well, it's
There's
my
only
nickname.
3 Norwegians, so I mean,
Yeah.
how is that possible?
I'm not even named Tori, JD. It's
One's
my
named
nickname.
Tori, the other one's named Thor, and the other one's named Thor Part 2 Electric Boogaloo.
I'll call out Joe. Not you, Joe. The other Joe. You know who you are.
Story
Calling
Thor
out Joey
and Thor
Joseph
Ragnarok.
Joe.
I'm also
Looking at
calling
you.
out. I'm also calling out John. Yeah, John.
Looking at you, Jesse. That's right, Jesse. I
Oh,
hear. I
you don't
see
bring
you
up
there.
Jesse. Jesse's seen some things,
Nope, not enough. We gotta
Not
cook.
Perfect Blue.
but he hasn't seen Perfect Blue.
But can you see why kids love Cinnamon Toast Crunch?
Oh man.
Perfect Blue is the best work by Satoshi Kon. I don't think it's an arguable thing.
Perfect Blue is for me up there with End of Evangelion as my favorite anime movie. I can't
Piss
decide which one I like more. It's hard, okay?
Yeah.
Well, the fact that you can watch Perfect Blue without seeing a TV show.
Yep,
I-
that makes it a movie.
Yeah. But I
Very
mean,
good.
even still, I think End of Evangelion is fucking amazing if you watch it without the goddamn movie. Or without the TV series.
without the goddamn movie. Just watch the movie with just the case.
So for those,
just put
for
the
those
case
wondering,
right there.
it's pretty hard to find any of Satoshi Kon's movies outside of Paprika.
Satoshi Katashi.
JD,
What?
why Satoshi? Why must you
Kan.
do this to me?
Satoshi Kang.
The other twin, the other brother, the youngest one.
There are so many in this family.
So outside of Paprika, all of his movies are very hard to find legally.
Millennium
even
Actress is
on-
on YouTube.
Well, you have to. Yeah, people like recording themselves
No,
watching it.
no,
on
no, no, no,
TV.
no. It's legally on YouTube.
Oh, it is.
Yes,
Are you sure about that?
I'm sure. There was this huge thing because Millennium Actress got available on YouTube. I can't find it because it's not available to me because region locking. But
America. Fuck yeah.
Americans can watch
Oh.
it on YouTube.
Coming again to save the motherfucking day. Yeah.
Well, then
So
that's
go-
good.
Yeah,
But
so go watch
perfect,
Millennium
perfect
Actress.
Blue. You can find a DVD on eBay for over $100.
$46.
Huh?
$46 for a Blu-ray.
I think it's a ripped copy though.
Maybe. I don't know. Just steal it and send $15 to Madhouse directly.
Yeah.
Only $15.
And right on the money for Perfect Blue. Please send me a license.
Or you can just buy Black Swan and then slap Perfect Blue on the cover.
Yes, buy Black Swan, pop it in your Blu-ray player, erase the disc, and put Perfect Blue on it.
Then put Satoshi Kon
And
dropping
then
the
send
mic in the
$15 to
cover.
Madhouse.
Yes.
Perfect.
And then put the sleeve out, pull it out, throw it in the garbage where it belongs, print out the sleeve of Perfect Blue, and pop it right in there.
Oh
Yep.
man.
It's a lot of work, I know, but it's worth it.
It's a good movie.
That's right. It's a
Do
good
you guys
ass
have
movie.
a favorite scene in Perfect Blue?
Ironically, the bath scene.
The scene with the photographer, not when he's photographing stuff, the effect of that.
I'm gonna have to say that the simulated rape scene.
Oh, yeah.
Simulated
That
rape.
was-
That's a powerful scene.
Yeah, that was
It
a powerful
is.
scene.
That is also in many cases the tipping point for Mailman.
Oh yeah.
So, I love that.
Like any real good movie, it's got to have a good twist, and the ending
What a
moments.
twist.
The ending moments of the plot twist. That was my favorite scene when it all came together. That one singular moment, and you're like, "Whoa!"
You know, like,
Makes
I
sense.
think
Makes
it is
so
it is
much
interesting
goddamn
that
sense.
it is interesting that you realize when she look at something that thing was building up for a long time in the movie, because something happens and she's sad about it because she lost something, but you see them alive in other parts of the movie until at the end she looks at it and say, "Wait, there's something wrong." I can.
Yeah, Perfect Blue is
Spoiler
a
free.
straight trip.
The stabbing scene
no.
is a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Stabbing scene is a strong scene.
Yeah, that's what
I know
I was talking about.
when I saw the stabbing scene and the way the knife was held and the music that was playing, I honestly thought it was an homage to Psycho
Like,
with its stabbing scene. No,
yes.
Could be.
Yeah.
I also
might be.
my favorite scene is from the beginning of the movie all the way to the end. That's my favorite scene.
Yes. The movie is my favorite scene.
All right. Well, I think it's time
To talk about
to
JoJo's.
finally hit.
It's time to stop. Okay, bye, bye, guys.
It's time to hit what Satoshi Kon kind of started his career in, which is Rujin Zed, Elderly Person Zed.
Yeah.
He was
I hate this movie.
background animator, key animator, and layout designer.
Layouts, yes, he did layouts.
Yeah,
He
Or
did
layouts,
layouts,
not
and
layout
layouts.
yeah. And you could definitely, I felt that Satoshi Kon's skill was apparent in the movie, along with a few others. But it is his earliest known work. He didn't own it or direct it or anything, but he was working on it, and
He was there. I can confirm.
he was definitely there.
I can confirm he was there. I seen.
You can confirm you were there. You seen
Yep.
it. You
Yep.
seen it with your
Oh,
own two
boy.
eyes.
Yep.
I seen.
So none of
it.
us had seen this,
Yeah, you're
and
right.
it came out in 1991.
And I wish I'd
It's an
never
OVA
seen it.
that's almost an hour and a half.
Yeah, sure.
Basically,
Uh,
it's by the guys that made Akira. Remember that movie?
But
Yeah.
totally flipped.
Yeah.
The one
So
who's
instead of the
worse at
guys from
animating
Akira
animated it, and
helping-
the guy that's worse at directing directed it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. So
Yeah.
the Z project was intended to give the new generation a break for caring from the old. The original intention was to create a machine to care for them without any intervention. At first glance, it looked like an excellent plan, and many of the younger generation approved of its application. But when Mr. Old Takazawa became the first test subject for the Z001 machine, Haruko, who was his nurse, questioned both the tactics, ethics of the hospital, and the moral implications of the machine. This is just the beginning, as Haruko has not just the hospital, but odds against her. But then she discovers an odd quirk about the machine. It uses a biochip, and eventually acquires a mind of its own.
Do you guys remember Akira? Yeah, the same thing happens.
It's the same thing with of Akira, except focusing on a bed.
Yep. And the bed
So
absorbs
what-
everything in its path until it becomes a big bed.
A super bed.
The biggest
So
bed.
So the movie's absolutely, the OVA is absolutely ridiculous. It's all about essentially the Japanese are getting more and more old people. So it definitely saw the future because that's the situation it's in now.
Yep.
And they don't want to just take care of the people or find a way to take care of them. They want to just throw them in a bed that'll do all the work for them, and then they can ignore them. So imagine your grandfather's going senile, and you want to throw him in a nursing home and forget about him.
Yeah.
There's a bed
that
for
was
that.
the whole idea.
That's what we do now anyways.
That's
So
right.
now
just
just get a super bed involved.
Just
They
to make
get
this
dementia,
bed,
you give them the gun to kill themselves with, and there you go.
just to make it even better. This bed, obviously, you have to get hooked up to every kind of fucking tube and whatnot. So as long as this bed is active, if you try to pull out any wires in him, that guy's dying.
Well, hold on, Tori.
Unless they decide for the movie that you need to pull a wire out, then it's fine. Because this movie has no fucking sense at all of following its own rules.
You're right.
Well, that's because it evolves, Joe.
Yeah.
You didn't see the underlining moments.
Yeah, Joe, didn't you see when they copied his wife's voice based on the picture?
I was too busy trying to gouge my own eyes out with a fucking melon baller.
And that would have been a lot easier if you had that bed.
You're right, I could have killed myself way more effectively.
So
Could have done
the movie,
it for you.
The movie starts with this cute little nurse girl Haruko,
The only
whose
well-designed character
design-
in the entire series.
She is the only character in the entire OVA. She looks surprisingly a lot like a lot of Satoshi Kon's main females in his movies.
Whoa, what a shock.
What
So
a
is
shock,
that like,
right?
Is that like XXXX chromosomes, or...
So she's taking care of this old man, and the first lines of the movie are this old man just yelling at her in his old man I'm dying voice. How did it go, Joe?
Haruko-san.
I shit myself.
I wet my bed. This movie.
Can you tell that he has a burnout? I can.
He is in full on anime burnout mode.
I would give this series a 1 if it was as bad as the Animatrix, but I can't put it at that level.
It was by the same studio, I believe.
Yeah.
APPP. Which ironically is the same studio that did Golden Boy. Another show that we have done a podcast over.
Didn't they do Berserk? Or am I crazy?
Probably.
They did Project A-ko.
That's a good movie. All 5 of them are good.
They did Rouge and Zed.
No.
The
I believe
unfinished JoJo Bizarre's Adventure OVA series.
Well, that was just Stardust Crusaders.
you.
Okay, so randomly, as she's helping this old dude, apparently the old dude's family signed him up for this experimental project that the like old person ministry wants to. The ministry has all of a sudden this crazy amount of funding for this project. And the old person's family signs him up for it. So they just randomly show up to the dude's apartment and they take him away. And Haruko's like, "What's going on?"
What is going on?
So then you're introduced to Haruko and her cast of fellow nurses, who are just terrible people, and they're drawn even worse.
What the hell was up with them having 2 sets of chins?
They needed them. They're old.
I want to know why they all had eyes that reminded me of insects.
They're old.
There's a tag
They're
for
all
that.
looking in different directions, almost off their face at times.
They're old.
There's a fetish for that, don't worry.
There is.
There
is
I'm
an
sure
old
there's
man
a fetish
fetish.
for everything.
Yeah, large insect tag. Just what
So
JD wants.
she's telling her colleagues about how her patient was taken away, and they're like, "Oh, well, there's going to be a presentation over this new technology that's being ripped out, and your patient's involved." And she's like, "All right, I'll go see it." So it's this presentation over the super bed, the Z001 machine, which is
It
going
will
to solve
make
all the
you
elderly
shit.
problems in the nation.
That's right, it'll force you to shit.
Yep. Literally suck the shit right out of your ass.
So they're going over all the features of it. It's basically a on the spot CRT machine. It can shower for them. There's even a plug that hooks directly up to their junk and sucks all the piss and shit right out of you in real time.
It was the cum.
It solves all sense of boredom because old people get bored. So they need their iPads, because that's what it essentially is, an iPad in their face at all times.
And they can have 5 of them.
Yeah, that is a
But
that is a big iPad.
5 CRT iPads.
that is one big tube iPad. JD, I didn't know you were that
And,
old.
JD's
What?
very old.
I don't know
JD's
if that,
very
if
old,
that,
the
if
old
that
man in
compares to
Rugen City.
an iPad for you, I guess you're pretty old.
He's about to get right in that bed.
no, what does it look to you guys?
Like a tube television, but it's small.
Well, no, they said it has internet. They said it had online capabilities, radio, phone call, movies, TV shows. It all hooks up to that. That's an iPad.
Yeah, it's a big bad iPad. Yes.
So, one of the key features that they go over is if the patient in the bed ever starts having heart issues or any sort of bodily issues, then the bed will take care of it for them. So something will be plugged into them, and that becomes a major factor because this old dude has a slew of issues. So it cuts to them later when they get to him, when he's fully hooked up to the machine. He's got tons of plugs in there. Because the bed evolves. It learns to adapt to the patient. And with this biochip, it's not an action. And during the 80s, late 70s, and throughout the 80s, the idea of a computer that represents or that evolves biologically, similar was present in a lot of movies and TV shows back then.
A biochip.
Oh yeah, the biochip, yeah.
Yeah.
The snot chip, as they called it. There was a huge miscommunication on how, I don't know, hacking works.
We'll definitely I'm almost there. So randomly Haruko is like, well, I guess I'll never see him again, whatever, but all of a sudden the computer network at the hospital gets SOS messages, and they think it's from the old man. Save me! And how does it go, Tori?
Haruka-san, Taskete.
This is basically the extent of the old person's role in the whole movie, is to be just this old dude who can't do anything.
Tasan.
Hold on, let me just, I don't know, copy someone's voice based on a photo.
So
Movie was fucking hard,
Haruko and the
terrible.
cast go to try and rescue him, and there's a
Yes.
moment where she tries to pull out all the plugs from there, and they get caught out.
Get
obviously,
smacked
otherwise
like the bitch she is.
and she gets bitch slapped hard, and you're like, no, he'll die if he's hooked the shit
She
up.
gets
you know,
Zeta
you can't just
Gundams.
take all that out.
A generation of SmackDown Zeta Gundam.
Oh man. And then the bed starts to, this is where we start seeing the bed start having a mind of its own. Now we're to the part where she's at the hospital, and she, of all the patients she's taking care of, there's all these old guys, and one of them in particular is a crazy computer hacker, cause
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
One of them?
That's-
No,
that's
there's
just-
four
It
of
is the
them.
future. Come
That's
on.
just what 80-year-olds understand.
Yeah,
The future of the past.
the future, Hickey. The old people know how to hack. The young
No,
people don't even know
like,
what a fucking
for
computer
example,
is.
we have a shitload of hackers nowadays. But in 40 years, they're gonna be in a hospital bed shitting themselves. So yeah, if that's
That
the
is
future,
fine, Nicky.
they were probably hackers. They were probably hackers.
But the young
No.
people don't know how to work a computer. That's the problem.
So
Well,
Hickey's
because
clearly
Haruko-
saying that this
Haruko
movie
is-
sees the future.
A lot of times.
Haruko's a retard.
thinks
I
the
got
best
it.
reads the future. In like, I can bet $100, not 100 reais. $100. There is like 300 for me. That in a couple of years we're gonna see that fucking bad in a presentation somewhere.
Now, how many years is a couple years?
I don't know when you're shitting yourself, I guess.
Alright, so that's like 60 years from now.
I'm blowing my brains out.
You're very positive about it.
Put
You
it back.
you usually, I thought you were gonna say, I'm gonna kill myself after that or something, but you know, I'm glad you're positive
Well, I mean,
about
if
your love spawn.
If I can't wipe my own ass, I'm gonna put a bullet in my brain. But at the same time, I gotta at least not be able to wipe my ass one time. I
But
assume that is 60 years
but
out.
the super bed will exist by that time.
Yeah.
Well, if it does, maybe I won't kill
The
myself
Akira
with a
super
gun.
bed will exist.
Maybe
I
I'll
will
kill
get the
myself with
super bed
something
to
better.
kill me.
Yes, I'll do it with a pillow. Stay gold, pony boy. Stay gold.
So she confronts. So this dude's like, "Oh, I hacked into like Hewlett Packard or some shit, and they evaded taxes. Here, the press will love this." So she's like, "Oh, can you show me? Can you show me what you mean?" And he goes, "Yeah, I can show you what you mean." And he thought she wanted to see his raging boner he got from hacking. So he immediately pulls down his pants, and she's like, "No, pull them up."
As you
Was
can
that
play-
not the best moment in the movie, or were there many others?
The
No.
best moment in this movie was the credits.
Yeah. No, I mean, quite frankly, like as you can tell, this is clearly a very serious movie with meant
supposed
for,
to be.
meant for adults, and you know, the even the humor is of top tier quality. Yeah, very very sophisticated humor. They don't go for any cheap jokes at all. You know, boner jokes, piss jokes, poop jokes. No, none of that. Not even a once. By the way, what was it? The somebody who worked on this movie had also worked on Golden Boy. Did you say?
Yeah, the director.
Yeah. So you know, sadly, Golden Boy was a lot better.
Yeah, there's one raging difference. At least Golden Boy made me laugh.
Yep.
So, oh man,
I even group watched this with someone and I still wanted to fucking die.
oh god.
I remember that stream.
So they-
Just wait.
So these old men hack into the bed's computer system.
After they hacked the Pentagon, mind you.
Did they hack the? No.
They sure fucking did.
No. They hacked the bed and they saw the chip and they go, "Well, this technology's only been developed in one place, the Pentagon." That was the line.
Then how would they know that?
Because they're hackers.
Because news, I guess.
Or they hacked into the Pentagon.
The
They
same.
didn't hack into the Pentagon.
Yeah, no.
Although it wouldn't be beyond the movie.
Yeah,
I'm pretty
that was
sure
prior.
that's what they want you to think.
That was prior to the movie.
So as they hacked into it, they start messing with its functions, and one of them, as you guys have mentioned, was Haruko takes a picture from the old man's place, and it's of his dead wife, and they go, and she goes to them, "Can you program her into this?" And they're like, "Sure, no problem."
Of course we
Voice.
can.
Yep. Oh, now that
We
we
have
know
no
what
idea what she sounded like.
Now
but
that
here
we
you
know what
go.
she looks like, we clearly know how she speaks and her voice. Obviously.
Especially her intonation.
Yep.
And her accent as well.
And what she
Right?
called this guy.
Of course. Why would you not know? And their intimate memories.
Yeah.
Well,
Kill me.
clearly the bed was capable of,
Magic.
going into his mind.
Yep.
So here's some Satoshi Kon here for you.
Uh-huh.
The bed was capable of seeing into his dreams.
The bed was capable of literal magic.
And that's how the
like
bed
a
was
new
able
game,
to
eh?
mimic the voice on its own and know where to go.
You know what else works on its own? My hips. They're moving on their own.
You guys are clearly missing how deep this movie goes.
Yeah, it's deep as a puddle, all right.
It's as deep as a poop sucking machine.
It goes
Deep
in.
as a rectal thermometer. Got it.
It goes in.
Yeah. So due to putting in this actual personality into the bed, that's where we're supposed to then believe that the bed now is taking upon itself. It now knows how to walk and assimilate with anything of its surroundings. So it becomes bed bulldozer. It becomes bed crane. It becomes bed fighting robot.
It becomes bed destroyer of universe. Yes.
It needs to become a dildozer, or I don't care.
Becomes bad
So,
little
and
grandma.
Now that
It becomes bed transportation device on the monorail.
Yep. So now, JD, now that this machine knows how to walk and of course can read this guy's minds and whatnot, where does this machine want to go?
It wants to go to the beach,
And why exactly?
in which the old man and dead wife shared one of their most intimate memories.
Now, how does the bed know this?
It can read its mind.
Because it can see his dreams, and that's what he dreams about.
But how does
Every
he know?
day.
But how does he know? How does the bed know about her feelings?
Because it does. Shut up. You're questioning things. That's not. Turn off
Because
your brain,
he-
Senpai.
because-
God.
Yeah, that's
because
really worked
he
in the
dreams
past.
about his wife and knows her personality, and the bed mimics her personality based on the dreams.
But the bed mimicked her personality based on the photograph that they coded in and sent.
No,
to
that
the
was
bed.
just the voice. Blah, 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 blah.
He's trying so hard.
No, shut up! Ignore it.
It's not relevant.
Yes.
It's what the director wanted. God damn it.
Clearly
telling
they
the
were
story he
conflicted
was
by
to tell.
time management here. And would have clearly fleshed out more if there were more episodes.
Nah, man.
Uh-huh.
I can't even, say it with a straight face.
Is this one of those things where Satoshi Kon dropped out after 3 episodes? Oh, wait, it's only 1 episode.
So
When the hell
Satoshi
did
Kon
he
was
turn
kind of
into the
elbowing
butcher?
him going, guys, you should probably at least do this. All right.
Guys, can we,
Idea.
no! Okay.
Idea from
Guys,
the,
can we,
idea from
roll
the
the
newly
credits?
graduated college student.
Let's just call this one done.
Oh, man.
They were planning to make it a 10 episode thing, and he just went, nah.
Yeah. So while all this is happening, Haruko's constantly chasing after the old man and Superbed with reporters, the military, and the people from the ministry. They're all involved.
And that guy who invaded the ministry, he was actually working for the military, who wants to fucking make a super weapon out of this bed, by the way.
Yeah.
if you didn't mention.
You ever heard Occam's
So the-
razor? It really comes to fucking a head here.
The best reason in the entire movie, this random dude from the Pentagon has snuck into the ministry to supply funding for this biochip so they could test it for militarization starting with Superbed.
And let's just ignore the fact that they actually had a fucking working, operating combat version of this thing.
Already made.
Tested as well. And it is way better than the one that they're testing, because this thing can actually follow orders.
I want to talk about
However-
the fact that it was defeated by a fucking can of air. That it blew itself up with.
Yeah.
An O2 can murdered this fucking thing.
Oh, man. Oh, fantastic. And no matter how many times the same people see this superbed assimilate with bigger and badder and stronger things, they go, well, we just need a bigger, badder thing to fight it with. It totally won't assimilate with the next thing.
Like an O2 can. That's all you need is an O2 can.
Clearly all you need. So it all culminates into this big battle with the military robot in a right in and around a tunnel right outside the beach. They're almost there. The personality that the superbed has taken on is the wife at this point, that we're supposed to believe is 100% the wife.
Because magic.
So they're talking to the bed and they're like, you need to go back. The old person, is going to die. You've gone crazy. And the bed goes, okay, I'm just going to take him to the beach and then we'll go back. And they're like, yay, we figured it out. But no, it's not over yet.
Panicon, dude.
You
No
gotta
fat
have,
lady has sang yet.
you gotta have the robot battle. You gotta have the robot battle because reasons.
And Adele needs to bust one out.
Then the helicopter goes down. That the reporters were in, and because the circuitry that the military robot was hooked up to short circuits hard because water, they can no longer control it. So that assimilates with the helicopter. So even though, just because the biochip's there, we're supposed to assume that, okay, that allows anything to assimilate with each other.
Anything goes.
Anything goes. So then they have a battle, but then they actually assimilate together. So the military robot assimilates with the superbed. So now we have
Takes over.
superbed military robot.
Super duper bed.
And I couldn't help, as I was watching this whole thing, think of the Trapper Keeper episode from South Park.
Really? Because I couldn't stop myself from thinking about Akira. And how much
I
better
can
of a
stop
movie that
myself from
was.
thinking, wow, there's only 20 minutes left of this movie. Thank God.
Well,
Thank God there's only 10 minutes left
if
of
you
this
guys
movie.
remember from the episode of South Park, the Trapper Keeper, where
Yeah.
Cartman assimilates with the trap. I am Trapper Keeper. I must assimilate with everything Trapper Keeper says. That's essentially what this became.
Mhm.
And Haruko grabs an oxygen tank, just a regular sized one. Epically climbs up Super Bed Robot to find the core of the biochip.
Of course.
As which they said it's the chip is constantly moving about in the machine because it's assimilating with other things, but it just so happens to stop just for her
She also
Yeah,
has
no,
no
at
idea
the
what
very
it looks
top
like
and center.
Yeah,
until
does
she
not.
sees it. Then she knows exactly what it looks like fucking magic.
That thing. Yes, got it.
Yeah, and of course she knows exactly what it's looked like, what she's looking for, and throws the oxygen tank there. And for some reason, somehow, even though it's fully assimilated, Superbed wife personality has a blowtorch, blows it up, and the whole thing explodes.
Nah, man, that's not
Now
how
what-
it happened. Haruka called for her to do that. She
Now what-
Well, she did
commanded
call
it.
for it, yeah.
What
yeah, she did do
machine
that.
gave her a blowtorch?
Don't mind. Don't worry about it. You're
No,
thinking.
Dude,
Stop.
she survived the thinking crumbling down.
Joe, why are you trying to think logically?
Don't mind,
God.
don't mind.
Exactly. Don't mind.
So,
No, I.
There's a moment
Nice shot, though. Nice shot, though.
there's a moment at the beginning where the bed's being, when the bed first escapes, the cat jumps into the bed. So during this whole assimilation and battles, the cat just happens to be in the bed the whole time with the old man.
Yeah.
Yep.
And during the explosion, the cat also survives and takes
Yeah.
away what we are to believe is the main core and biochip of the superbed.
Yep.
So then they have their nice little goodbye moment beach scene. The superbed dies. They go back. They're in their house again. No, they're in the hospital, and the old man's just like, Kachan's gonna take me away. She's coming for me again. They're like, no, whatever, you crazy old man. Super robot bed comes back as big ancient idol thing. It's a
Yes.
simulated to the
Literally
size
having
of
Buddha
the
statue.
It's a huge Buddha.
It's a huge Buddha.
Not even that. It's
Ah,
assembled
my
fucking,
Buddha.
It's assembled
We've come
from
full
fucking
circle.
everything. There are pyramids in there. There's the fucking goddamn Statue of Liberty. There's everything there.
Oh, look, it's Giza.
But I did like that final scene where they're just like looking at it and it's kind of like,
Yeah, they all make, and that's one thing I saw throughout the movie, or throughout this OVA constantly was, particular things were picked out to be animated constantly, and if there was more than one thing, they all had the same movement. So as the example with the last scene where they all do the pray sign, they put their hands together and pray at the big Buddha. That was prevalent throughout the entire OVA, which was very strange. So you'd see all the characters on screen like drop their jaws at the same time. They'd all put their arms up in the air at the same time in the same exact way. There were moments where the old dude was hacking in the bed. All the characters in the room would turn their head to the same direction at the same time.
yep.
It was like, was Satoshi Kon doing all the key animation for this whole thing, and he had like 2 weeks to do it?
No, yeah. Nah, but that's done for comedic effect. And just as a throwback to the last podcast, when they all pray to the Buddha, when they're all just going, that they obviously ended in the only way you can do, with their postcard memories. So there you go.
So we've rambled. Hickey, what are your thoughts over Elderly Person Zed?
I actually like the show because my taste is pretty shitty. Yes, I like it.
Get out.
I thought it was funny. It doesn't make sense. There's a lot of holes. It looks like a Swiss cheese. Yes. But okay, I thought it was very funny, like to say the least.
I thought it was hysterical as well.
Like,
I laughed throughout the whole thing.
I wasn't laughing a lot, but like I was laughing like at some points. I couldn't help but laugh, especially when you had the problems. Like they put like they discovering the voice of the grandma by the photograph. I started laughing at that. We're like like that. When Fuckboy got laid as well, I laughed a lot.
Oh yeah, he gets hammered at the bar, and they just showed him both naked in the thing, and he's totally hungover, puking for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, it is fun because he goes he wants Haruko, but he ends up with a friend.
No, he only slept with her.
Yeah, I know.
He still
like,
wanted Haruko
I like
after
that.
that.
Yeah, like I like that. Even the growing encourages him to go get Haruko.
Hickey, they're just sex friends, okay?
Yeah, sure.
Fine.
Frannies with bennies.
Yeah.
It was breaking grounds in the 90s,
Trannies
man.
with bannies, what?
Trannies with bannies.
Yeah, I thought it was fun. Like I thought that it was a military thing, and the United States were involved, of course. Also, it was funny because I think I watched it again 1 hour of this movie with Senpai, but I was highly wasted.
Yes, you were.
I remember.
Yes, you
It
were.
seems like the perfect state of mind to
I
watch
remember
it.
like when they were chasing the bat and they were in the helicopter, and they were like, I was like, oh, why there are Americans piloting the helicopter? And I think was it Skeef was with us, and he was like, why do you think they were American?
Yeah.
I was like, that's a black dude. There are no black dudes in Japan.
I think the best part was they were trying to throw her out of the helicopter and then just took off.
Yeah, like it's funny.
Just fucking surprise, man. Off we go.
Haruko is
Props,
not the proper main character for that. She's not a main character. Like she's not a hero. The old man hawkers, the holes. I think it's funny. It is kind of a disaster, but I still think it's quite enjoyable.
Kind of a disaster. In that
Yeah.
2 out of 10 kind of way.
No, you just don't understand how deep it goes.
Nah, you don't seem to understand. It's a shame. You seemed an honest man.
And all those things you held so dear.
Have come to whisper in your ear.
This is clearly where Satoshi Kon got all of his inspiration for his future movies.
Yeah, and like
Yeah.
I can see,
For sure.
I can
This
see
was his
Satoshi Kon, comedy in Old Man Z, like
You know what? This movie inspired Satoshi Kon to do better.
To never do anything
to never
worse.
do shit again. Probably.
He was like, never doing that again.
To never 2 out of 10 again.
He's like, this guy did Akira and then Elderly Person Z. Ooh, okay, I must make sure my life's work will never fall so low.
One of these
And die
things
young.
is not like the other.
And die
One
young.
of these things just does not belong.
Just see, it's just, I
Bad.
don't know.
You don't know, Tori?
No, I don't know what to say about it. It's like, I'm trying to say, it's like, do I want people to watch it? And then part of me goes like, yeah, sure, go ahead, watch it. It's,
And the rest of me just goes, no.
Go.
the rest of me just kind of goes like, what merit do I think anybody would have from watching this over watching anything else done by Satoshi Kon? And I'm like, fuck Rojin, see,
Go.
watch everything else Satoshi Kon has done.
Hey, Tori. Go full demolition D. You are a grown man or woman, and only you can decide.
That's not for me to decide. That's only for you to confess. You're a grown man or woman, and only you can decide.
Yeah, that's basically.
Uh, yeah, no, that is. That basically sums it up. Yeah, right there. Thanks, Nicky.
You're welcome.
So, Joe, you absolutely love this movie and you recommend it to everybody, right? Perfect 10 out of 10?
Yes, I would rather gouge my own eyes out with my own thumbs. Or have
Just-
someone
just
else
because-
gouge my eyes out with their thumbs.
Just so you don't have to watch anything as good again, because you know it'll never reach that peak. Correct?
If this was the first anime I'd ever watched, I would never watch anime again.
It's Legend of the Galactic Hero Syndrome at its best,
It's
for sure.
basically the opposite, yeah.
Yeah, you'll never find anything quite the same ever again.
I'll be
man.
hickey from now on. Everything's okay. Except for this.
Everything. Except for that.
Hey.
Everything's at least a 5 out of 10. Except
Everything's
for
at
this.
least a 3.
This is
I
great.
would have dropped this 6 minutes in if it wasn't for this fucking podcast.
So scores all around. Are we done?
Yeah, 2.
5.
6. Wow,
I also gave it a 6.
What?
Hey man,
Mickey.
I
Show me that 4.
enjoyed it, but I can say it's good. Come on.
I mean, I agree. That's why I gave it a 6. And I don't really think I like this one, but it's alright.
So, JD, what'd you give it?
I gave it a 6.
So, 12... 19 divided by 4?
Cool.
4.
Yeah, that's a good score for it.
Sure.
It's about where it belongs. I should give it a 1.
Everyone change your scores now.
Oh man, so great. Satoshi Kon to Elderly Person Z.
Yeah.
Yeah, good to bad.
Now excuse me while I listen
Okay.
to Tank 7 times in a row to get this shit out of my brain.
Ding, 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 ding.
Oh man. Alright, so I don't think we're totally decided on the next podcast. We do know that we won't have another cast until the new year.
Really?
Yay.
Christmas is coming up, some of us have family stuff to do. Eat food.
Bah humbug, fuck Christmas.
Yeah.
So
Man, can't wait for all that fake
this
snow.
was a very interesting podcast for sure.
This was fun.
Yeah.
It was definitely fun.
We had everything this episode. Rage, laughter, rage.
Yeah.
Demolition
that's a good way to
D.
put it, Tori.
Demolition D.
Alright, now everyone say your goodbyes.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.